human perspective.
Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
From Unbiased on the Fence, Shane.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
I want to thank you for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, and for those who support this channel financially. Thank you, lots of love and light to everyone out there.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and on the Fence.
Unbiased and on the Fence.
Well, it's Friday night. Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you guys here. We got an announcement to make next Friday, hopefully, if things go well. They should, on 2/22. That's February 22nd of 2019. We will also not only be here on YouTube for the Friday Night Love Stream, we will also be on Oneness Talk Radio. And then they will do some re-airings of the broadcast throughout the week. And really excited about expanding what we do here and spreading the light a little bit more around the world. Let's see. Phone lines are open. It is a open topic tonight. If you have an awakening story you want to share, Mandela effects. These are always really interesting to me. I love them. And of course, if you have any, UFO, alien type stories, I'm always down for that stuff. Really love it. Let's see here. Let's start this out with a little Wingmakers material. Wingmakers music to get us in the mood. I love this stuff. You can find this on YouTube for free too.
What do?
righty, we got a caller here, Debbie Hazelton. How's it going? Always
It's going well, and I finally decided to figure out the right way to call in. So I asked you, and you gave me the number in the chat, and I can. My phone won't let me go to the description information. I can't click on it. So one night I went to the computer, and I found there was a call-in number, and then you were busy with a lot of stuff. So I thought, well, I'll try it again. But yay!
Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes to keep up with everything.
Oh, but I've been here a lot, and I just haven't, said as much. But that was a fabulous show with Shri and Kira. Oh my God, that was fabulous.
Yeah, and I have them to thank for getting me on Oneness Talk Radio. Them and of course Alan and Sandra talked to me a while back about it, and so I'm really excited about joining them and expanding.
Is that their app or Oneness Talk Radio? That's solely owned by them?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe it's their own.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Their app, I wrote them, their app is not accessible for me. It's just not voiceover activated like it should be. It doesn't let me click on things and all that, so too bad.
Yeah,
love to be able to use it.
Shoot them an email.
I wrote,
probably. Oh, did you?
Yeah, I wrote, but I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. But
oh yeah, they're super busy.
I know. Oh my God. But wow, I mean, I just know we're all going through so much and feeling tremendous energies. Tremendous energies. Wow.
So what's that like? What's that like? What are your thoughts on all of this? Because you've been at this for a while. I'm kind of a noob. I've only been,
I was looking back, and I was introduced to New Thought even in the 60s, and really interested in a lot of this stuff in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of us thought we were going up. There were supposed to be 3 waves in the 80s, and we thought we were going, and so my thing is, I've learned it's important to enjoy now instead of thinking, well, I'll enjoy it, come on, when are we going? Enjoy now, although I really do feel that we have been having waves come through, and I do feel like things have been ramping up. I do hear a very high-pitched C-sharp in my left ear almost every day, once or twice a day, and sometimes even higher-pitched tones come into my right ear, and some different patterns with sleeping, and sometimes I'm not tired, sometimes I am, sometimes I wake up with a headache and I keep trying to pin it on something I ate, and I really can't. I mean, it's got to be the energy. It just, and but I also feel this, just lots of downloading, lots of insights, and lots of ways of sort of neutralizing past things and really letting go, equally forgiving myself and going, I did what? Oh God. Oh, but yeah, and just feeling lots and lots of love through it all. And then I get excited. It's like I want to do everything, all my hobbies, all my interests. I want to do it all, So it's quite intense, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. Now they were saying that they were going to get it more intense, I guess, up until the 19th, I believe you said, or
yes.
Starting any new projects or something, that would be the time to do it between now and then.
Between now and what's supposed to happen after the 19th? If we're supposed to start them before,
yeah, and
I
then
wasn't clear on.
Yeah, and then it was like until April. Middle of April, I think it was. Maybe it was April 9th. I can't remember the next date, but that's when things are going to begin to manifest from the work we do at this time.
The work, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to start a new venture or something, that would be the time to do it. Which is perfect.
I've been speaking, yeah, is it?
Well, I mean, from the radio, expanding into the radio.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's really, really good. I'm glad, yeah. I wonder if they have any music shows on there. Or if because my In the Quiet would fit really well there.
Oh, yeah, you should talk to him. I think they got slots open because they were talking about rebroadcasting the Friday Night Love stream sometime in the week.
I wonder do they only want talk, or do you know if they have music and talk?
It's Oneness Talk Radio, but I don't know. They
okay.
They might have little segments or something,
Yeah, because sometimes, that's different licensing altogether. You don't even have to worry about licensing for talk, but anyway, but I've been speaking more and just putting more stuff together, and I keep thinking I need to get on my channel, and every now and then I do, but I really need to more often. But I come into yours, and I usually at least say a little hello, but I'm here still quite often.
Yeah, and we want to have you on to do the touch thing. Now, what's that called again? Where you touch?
EFT. We talked
EFT.
about EFT, emotional freedom technique. I would love to. That is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And that book I sent you, I know it sounds like a religious title, but it's really fascinating. I just love the work of Greg Braden. I don't know if you've heard any of his stuff, but
I love his stuff.
That's what that is. It's a collection, but he really looks at old ideas of prayer and just taking it way beyond any old stuff that we ever knew. But one of the things I got out of that book, it's called Prayer and Prayer. I think it's something, Prayer and the Prophecy of a New World, or something like that. Mm-hmm. For anybody else that is wondering what we're talking about. But one of the things that I really like in that book is he talks a lot about vertical time. Mm-hmm. And how we've heard that all things are now. I kind of had the image of walking up to a like an old-fashioned jukebox, or even like vending machines or computer programs where you see something at the top and you have a choice. Like, do you want A or B? And then you push A, and that opens up a whole bunch of choices under A, or you push B, and you get a whole bunch of choices under B. And it's like vertical timing, and it really made it very clear to me about timelines and how we can end up on a different timeline based on our choices, and how any choice just opens up that many more possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating, and then he talks about
I haven't got to that book right now yet. I'm actually working on it.
Listen. Yeah.
but I will.
Things.
It's on my list.
Yeah.
I've got a long list of books I'm making it through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I do love Greg Braden.
He's got flute playing every now and then. I think he made his own flute and is his playing, and it's just, his background is beautiful. Just how he came out of, I think he came out of engineering or software development or something, and totally, went into the spiritual. So really anyway, cool. What else is going on your end?
That's pretty much it. Just enjoying the energies and enjoying the blissful state. I'm finally getting to a point now where when I meditate, I can really just focus on how good things feel right now in this moment. Even if you're dealing with something on the 3D level.
Yeah.
You can still push that aside and say, that doesn't even matter at this moment right now. And really wrapping your head around that is so powerful and liberating to know that you can
It is liberating.
Yourself. It is.
Yeah, because I think when we don't worry, the less we engage in worry, the more the thing that we don't like just eases on by.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, but it really, I keep getting there is no reason to worry. There's nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
And easier said than done when you're in it. But wow, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Have you been paying attention at all to this whole thing about Doreen Virtue? Have you talked about it at all on any of your shows?
I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, because, the internet was abuzz by, I guess, something she put out last month or something that triggered a lot of people. And I just had Eileen send that to me. I'm like, hey, can you send me that? And she's just sent it to me. And I only got to read a little bit of it. I haven't got to make it through, but I could see why it would trigger a lot of people. But everybody's on their path. I don't let it bother me.
Well, I'm not bothered that she did it. I think that's all well and fine, but what I hear that she's been doing is kind of like, some people say they feel like she's bullying people to get them to convert to what she's doing. And I mean, a lot of real strong fundamentalists would tend to do that anyway. I would think somebody who changes their views that radically, I would want to go into the background if it were me, I think, unless I, felt that liberated and I wanted to share it. But to come out with, A to Z things that are detrimental and are works of the devil, and what I think is really interesting is not only that she did that, but how devastated some people became, and it tells me they gave her too much power. If they hadn't given her so much power, they might not be as devastated by anything she's saying. But there was one person that said, well, I grew up with her. She was, they said she was the new age for them. She was like the grand creator, founder of New Age. And I'm thinking, I was around this stuff long before Doreen Virtue was out there. So I don't know, but I just think it's interesting. And one guy said he had 9 certifications by her, and he's not throwing them away. He's keeping every one of them.
Well, I noticed her books are still available.
Yeah. Hay House, she's not on Hay House anymore, and I guess, some things, I don't know if they're making more copies of things, but I guess they are still selling her stuff. But, I mean, I don't know. I said to this one guy who, it was one person that made sense about it, and I said, well, sometimes the teacher, the student outgrows the teacher, moves on past the teacher, and sometimes that's how we know what we know, and test what we know, and just, come to peace with it. But it really is, it's kind of amazing that people got us up in arms with it. I was fascinated just to see what some people were saying.
Well, how many people do you think she took with her? Like, people loved her and followed her so closely that they're like, all right, I guess I'm a Christian now. Doreen's a Christian.
I heard that there are thousands, but I don't know. I've not really seen numbers. And this one person was saying, wow, why are people just automatically doing what she says to do? And it's like she's saying empowerment is a sin, and women having a voice, and anybody, saying affirmations that are about self-empowerment is a sin. I mean, they're laughing at how she's saying unicorns are bad and all these crazy things. But apparently a lot did, and that's strange to me. I mean, that's just kind of strange. They said, one person said, she's very convincing. She just makes you feel like, we're all slaves, and all you don't have to worry about anything if you just do this. All your answers are in this book, and you just give your life and care over to this, and over to Jesus, and everything is grand that way, And, oh my God, apparently she's just very convincing with it.
Well, it's fun to watch. I guess I guess for some it's going to be a test.
I think that's exactly what it is. It's a test, and we were told that there would be a lot of extremists out there this year. I mean, astrologically, I remember seeing that we would have a lot of extremists, and that we didn't have to get caught up in any of it. We just need to know what we know is true for us, and not try to get anyone to convert to what, for some being a vegan is what to do, and for some eating meat is, and, So,
well, do you think she's going to flip-flop, or do you think or how long do you think it'll take before she flip-flops?
I really wonder. I don't know. I mean, some people, I saw somebody, I didn't go into it, but somebody said they thought she was losing her mind, and some people say she's behind in her taxes, and that she's she's, you know, just getting older and maybe afraid. And so I really don't know. But I know that I went to one thing of hers in the early 2000s. I ended up getting credit for it, even as part of my massage training. I got credit to go to one of her workshops. And Des, you know, my friend Desmond that I live with, Des gave her one of her CDs, and Doreen tried to give it to this guy that worked for her, and he didn't want it. So Doreen, right in front of Des, Doreen threw it in the trash. I said, you know, there was just something that didn't impress me about her even back then. So, but it's just interesting. It's just interesting how she could flip-flop like that.
Or maybe it wasn't, you know.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. But I went to check out her website after I heard this, and I didn't go into the A to Z, although I heard somebody else read it, and just thought, wow, that's really strange. But I haven't gone to anything she's doing on YouTube. I don't want anybody following any YouTube suggestions thinking I like that.
Right.
No.
Sandy's saying maybe she doesn't practice what she preaches. That's a pretty good point.
That's true. Maybe not.
Because that's kind of, I mean, that was back when she was still in, quote unquote, the New Age community, when she was acting like that. So, I mean, that's not very loving.
No, not at all. Not at all. There's something didn't feel right. Even when we saw her on Wisdom Television. That was a pretty cool network way back in the day, Wisdom Television Network. And she was on there, and so we happened to find one of her workshops that was not too far from wherever at that time, and we went. But in person, I don't know, something just didn't impress me. So I mean, I think some people really. The people that are most disappointed, I think they had her too high on a pedestal. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do that.
But anyway, I would love to come and talk about EFT. I've got some cool things to share about it. I just think it's dynamite stuff. Really, really good. So
awesome.
It can really help. It can help with a lot of instant, like physical things that happen. I've had really great relief from that.
That's what I've heard.
Not just with emotions.
Yeah, that it can be, that you can actually get instant relief. I'm like, really? That's wild. We got to look into that some more.
Yeah.
Do you have any speaking engagements coming up?
I do next Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but yep. And I think I have a couple in March. And I've got a couple in April. I've got a conference to travel to in April where I'm speaking, and so yeah, good stuff.
Staying busy this year. Are you going to make it out to ECETI, or do you think you can?
I will look at that. When is that? July?
August. Well, that's what we're aiming for now. I've been in contact with them, and they're setting up like conferences and stuff, and they're working on the schedule, but they've got to fit like any kind of UFO or Skywatch type events, which is what we'll have. It's not really a conference; it's more just like everybody hanging out. So they're wanting to fit those dates in between the conference or get together kind of dates for speakers and things like that, because it's harder to schedule. People like I think they said Corey Good was coming. Well, I don't know.
Oh, that's so cool.
Probably shouldn't start dropping names because I don't know how much it's public.
but that is really cool.
Yeah, they've got to schedule people like Corey Good.
Yeah. And when is the thing Shri and Kira are doing in Miami?
October.
I thought that was August. Oh, October.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which would be nice. It'd be starting to start to get cold, and then we get to take a little break and get some sun again. Extend the summer out a little bit,
Well, I lived not far from Miami, so that's a possibility. But all of it. Are you going to go? You're going to go to ECETI? I know that, huh? And maybe Miami. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know how yet, but if I'm supposed to be there, I'll be there. Put it that way.
That's right. Hey, call in your wing makers. Tell them you want your wings to be made and working.
Totally. Yeah, after Sedona, I just trust that I'll get there if I'm supposed to be there.
That's right. Yeah, if it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Definitely.
Very, very cool.
Awesome.
So cool.
Always a pleasure, Debbie. Let me know about your schedule, and so I can get you in with for the EFT stuff.
All right. Yeah.
Cool. Really cool.
I would love it, and it's always fun to be there with you and to do the show. And so, yeah, well, definitely we can, let me know what kind of schedule you have or want, and we'll make it happen. Usually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are easier for me, one of those days. So
that'd be perfect. We'll make it a Wednesday. I'll look at my schedule and shoot you an email.
All right. Yay.
Wednesday afternoons are good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got our European viewers, and I try not to do too much that's late because they like to join in. So.
Yeah. Well, much love, everyone. I love you all so much. I love the energy, and this group. I think a lot of times these people, wonderful people, everybody just loves to be together. It's nice to whoever's on and whoever's calling in and all that, but it's also that this group there's such a sense of community that people just love to come together and be here, and it's really
and it's
very,
like that in
very
person
sweet.
too.
Yeah, I know. That's so wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, so 2019's like the year of connection, I think.
It is. I know. Yep. I want to come and get my Shane hug.
Yeah, definitely. That I'm real, because I know for a while I'm like, am I really the only real person here? Are these all bots? So it helps to meet people. You got to wonder sometimes, especially with the Mandela effect. You're like, I don't even know.
You might wake up one day and we'll just all be a figment of your imagination.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, thank goodness I know people are real, so that's fine.
Yeah, you bet. All right, well, I love you bunches. And,
I love you too, Debbie.
I know. All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Mwah.
Let's go.
You're listening to the Love Stream.
Unbiased.
All right, going back to the phone lines, we have, let's see, 740 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Shane, this is me. The things you forgot.
Oh, the things you forgot. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Do you want to go by that on the screen, or?
Or you could call me Steven. That's my name. But
okay.
Yeah, my screen name is the things you forgot.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, it's Steven here. I wanted to ask, what did you think about that one thing I showed you, the song? Did you ever get around to looking at that or talking to anybody about the one is the loneliest number?
Oh, was it a Mandela effect?
I mean, I don't, for me, that's what I was saying. I made a video about it, and I was saying, like, I don't really want to say.
It sounds familiar,
sure, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it sounds familiar what you're saying.
I'm not going to be like. Yeah.
But I can't be for sure that I'm pretty sure I saw what you're talking about, but I get so many emails, and a lot of them I read while I'm half asleep waking up, and I just forget about it.
Yeah, it was an effect. It was supposed to be a change, but I wasn't really sure if it was a change or not, because...
Well, let's bring it up to the audience.
Really
What was it?
How do y'all remember the song "One Is the Loneliest Number"? Is it because? Okay, yeah, just.
Is it in the main hook? Is it in the main hook of the chorus, or is it in one of
the very beginning? One is the loneliest number that you, and it's in the very beginning. And that is the hook too.
Yeah.
And also the whole middle of the song changed as well. Like everyone talks about song changes, and then they talk about one thing or one letter. This whole damn verses changed, like the whole verse. But that's the thing. I go back to saying, I'm only 26 years old, and I didn't really listen to that song probably 4 times in my whole life, like the whole song. Mm-hmm. So I can't really say 100% for sure. Yo, this is I know this change, and whatever. It's an effect. It's a change. Because I'm not sure. But I feel like if you think about it logically... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, it's just there's a delay there, so I'm trying not to talk over you. I just wanted to chime in with the keep up with the chat here. It's saying, somebody's saying 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Now, to me, that doesn't sound right at all. So I don't...
Yeah, that's what it is now. That's what it is now.
It is? That you'll ever do? It's like that you've ever seen or you'll ever see or something like that is what I remember.
Yeah, 1 is the loneliest number that you ever see, or 1 is the loneliest number that you ever know. Those are the 2 ways I remember it. I remember it 2 different ways. And those 2 ways do make sense. Like, how is 1 the loneliest number that you ever do? That makes no sense. Right?
Right, yeah.
Am I right or what? And
I hear an E sound, like C or B or seen. I can't be for sure of the word, but it just doesn't seem right with do.
Oh. I wanted to call to say something because I'm working on writing some stuff down, and it's called Who Are the Fishermen and Who Are the Fish? And your last caller just reminded me about this thing I'm working on, and I wanted to share some stuff regarding what I've been thinking for a little bit, like the last couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
You mind if I share it with you real quick?
No, go ahead.
Okay, it's called Who Are the Fishermen and Who Are the Fish? And it begins by saying the fishermen are the ones who have been set free.
Mm-hmm.
The fish are the ones who need proof to see. And that's kind of it. I'm talking about the truth, because people have there are our own individual truths, and then there is the truth that applies to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying. The pure truth is like a parable.
Mm-hmm.
It covers and reveals many things. Are you following along with me?
Yeah, on multiple levels, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like these changes, I don't like giving it a name because I feel like that's part of the mass programming. They want you to give it a specific name, so you get into a certain group and then you get stuck in that little circle. And I don't think being in a circle is good. Like the creator, whatever you want to call it, the thing that made everything is like smoke. Like it's ungraspable, and at the same time it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But my point in saying that is I don't like to be confined. I don't like to be focusing on one person or one group or one thing, because everything's connected to everything. And if we decide to close ourselves off to something because we don't like the way it makes us feel, then that's not good. That's part of the whole yin and the yang. There is good and there is bad, and we need to acknowledge both and consciously, make an effort to do things. And there are people have different ways of doing things. There are, and that's okay. I'm getting too far, but the last thing I was gonna say is, do you know the way? That's it. Have you heard of that? Do you know the way?
Do you know the way? I haven't heard the meme myself, but I've got 5 kids, so of course I've heard them. Like, what are they talking about? Yeah, I repeat all sorts of memes that they say, and I've never heard the original, and they're like, "Dad, you're so memey." Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But do you know the way?
There are multiple paths and there are multiple truths, but the same way as there is one truth, there is one way. There are multiple ways, but in reality, it comes down to the way. There is the way. Okay, and last thing. Do you want to add or subtract anything I'm saying, like respond at all?
You did say something that I was going to say something about, but it was only to... it was only to just agree with you about, like the Mandela effect, for instance, tagging that name on top of there. And we've often said, well, it's like a quantum awakening or whatever. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The only reason we have to really name it is for people to find the videos. But other than that, I don't see it as being very helpful at all, because it's more separation, It's like, the Mandela effect crowd, then it sort of becomes us and them. So.
Yeah, that's right. Or the Christians too, just being like always, Jesus is the way. Jesus, like, it's not. I feel like it is true. There are so many truths, but just to be like, just focusing on this one thing and then just keep on repeating and trying to drill into people's heads. Then that's what people are like. I don't want nothing to do with this. Like, these guys are only focusing on one thing.
And it can be understood a
and
different way. Like, you know, he's the way that we should attain our enlightenment as well. You know? And then like what you're saying, if there's one road, and like one true way that we all end up really going, I mean, it might appear to be all different ways, but it all like joins in with the same river, if you will, of understanding and enlightenment, then Jesus is the way. And it doesn't have to have all the religious stuff attached to that, you know? He figured it out. You know, follow him, you know?
Yeah, and it's a teaching. It's not so much about the messenger, it's about the message, you know, and the message has been planted throughout all religions, but people get the truth and twist it. And that's why we always fighting with each other, because that's what they want. They want us to fight with the things that we don't understand about each other and fight with each other. One last thing before I go. I noticed this, and I don't know if I should say it or not, because I feel like I'm the only one experiencing this in the quote-unquote community.
Okay.
And I wanted to see, and I noticed you were one of the affected, and so I wanted to see if you recall, or if your subscribers recall, Ellis Island, the statue. Okay, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
The Statue of Liberty?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it switched recently. I heard everybody freaking out that it switched to another island. Which island did it switch to recently?
I remember it being on Ellis originally, and then I remember there being a Liberty Island, so it's named after the Statue of Liberty itself, is what I heard. But I don't even remember.
And then it switched to Liberty Island?
Yeah, like, so it's currently on Liberty Island, but I remember having to take a ferry from, what's that other island?
Okay, so yeah, that's where we're at with this. Basically, I recall you saying that, but further than that, when all this started, you know, back in 2012, that was one of the things that originally switched, and now no one recalls it ever being there in the first place. And I sound kind of crazy because I'm the only one in on this. Let me explain a little better.
So it's a flip-flop for you, you're saying, right, Stephen?
Basically, it originally was in Ellis Island back in 2006, and then it switched over to the other island, and y'all made videos. You had a video, other people were making videos saying like, yo, it just switched over to the other island. It doesn't make sense. Why would Ellis Island be called Ellis Island why would this Liberty Island be called Liberty Island if the Statue of Liberty wasn't on there? And y'all are freaking out because the Statue of Liberty was no longer on Liberty Island. And now, a couple of years later, I hear y'all talking, and y'all are like, yo, it was the Statue of Liberty just went on to Ellis Island, and it was originally always on. I mean, sorry, I messed up.
The other way around. Yeah.
I'm confusing you. I'm sorry. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So basically, people are forgetting things that they saw switch, and that's everybody. Like, and I'm seeing this with more than one thing. Are you aware of this, or have you noticed this, or no? Or am I the only one?
Man, I just see it as an individual thing a lot. So if something like that happens, some kind of discrepancy, I just always feel like, you know, that's someone else's reality, or, you know, not to like put anybody down, but you just never know how much, when somebody says they're 100% about something, you don't know how seriously they take that percentage. If they're like, you know, really 98, but they're saying 100. So it's such an individual, subjective thing to look at that.
And that's the thing about this effect, dude. It's the thing about this effect. How do you know when someone's telling you the truth when there is no proof? You know, That's why I went back to, that's why I say, when you know the truth will set you free. And the fishermen have been set free. But the fish need proof to see. The fish need proof to see. And that's where we're at right now. Like, a lot of us wouldn't even believe in the things, wouldn't even believe, if you weren't experiencing the effects for yourself, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't believe anybody who was saying the things they're saying. You know, and that goes for the majority of the people who are experiencing this effect. There's only a few people who were born into this and have seen it throughout their lives and prayed for people to wake up, and now they're seeing it. And you know, it goes back to what you said. It's the individual experience, and you can't force your truth on nobody. You can't make a horse drink water. It's all about love and understanding them. And it does go back to what's it called, our own mistakes. Like, we're gonna keep on repeating the same mistakes until we learn from them. Okay, guys, I'm talking too much. Sorry.
No, perfect, man. I was just actually, you made me think of that Mandela effect with John 8:32, and I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute, did that switch again? Okay, no, it is.
Yeah.
It had switched to the truth shall make you free instead of set you free.
Yeah.
But anytime somebody says something and it's the old way, I'm like, yeah, it never was the truth will set you free in this reality.
Yeah, that's how it always was for me, but yeah.
Yeah, now it's make you free. And I just looked it up.
I mean, the point, it goes back to, what do you think the point of the effects are?
I think they're a wake-up call, personally. That's what they've been for me, and it's moved into this divine gathering of like-minded people, so I don't know. It's for me, it's been a positive thing. Yeah.
It is. I agree. It's also a division, like to split up those who are aware and those who are unaware, because it says, "Carve the truths in the tablet of my heart, of your heart." And if you don't do that, then you forget about what is truly real. Okay, guys, I'm losing myself. I want to say more, but I feel like it's not time yet. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Have a good one, Steven. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Your calls, your stories, your stories. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love, spreading the light, all around the world, This is unbiased, on the fence.
Oh, there we go. Actually, I was muted for them. Yeah. For you. Can you hear me, report?
Yeah, I'm sitting here banging on my my mute button on my headset, wondering which mode I'm in. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So how are you doing?
Yeah,
good to talk to you again.
Okay, yeah, we have talked before, and yeah, I was just kind of listening in, like you're saying. That one fellow who was talking about the hook, and one is the loneliest number.
Yeah, do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Three Dog Night.
My immediate thought was that there are multiple dimensions in good music, and the best of music kind of has a certain sense of appeal to everyone, and that the best of music has, and absolutely, and I'm kind of the mind, that evolution is a binary process. It's as a result of environmental influence, but also our ability to be proactive with the natural process.
Right.
So one is the loneliest number, that's the main hook, and then that you can ever do. Okay, well that's kind of in my way of thinking, that's a discordant pause.
Yeah.
And the follow, as I would call the following lyrics are, two can be as sad as one.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me a smile, because there's a old tired cliche, that two can live as cheap as one, or two can be as happy as one. Mm-hmm. The impetus being marriage and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So this song is someone who is down to one again, apparently, as a result of whatever soap opera their life has become.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I very much enjoy, like I say, the multi-dimensional properties of music. And
which way sounds right to you, though, Rapport?
What's that?
Which lyric sounds right to you? Do does that sound right to you? One is the
well, yes. Like I said, it's a discordant pause because it's obviously incorrect use of language. But there's a particular effect there. It's sort of like a mini reboot, and then the what I'm saying is, to me, the major hook was two can be as sad as one.
Yeah.
But one is the loneliest number that's ever been done, or something to that effect. And so there are multiple hooks, and generally a hook is recognized as the most popular expression, either musically, mathematically, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Anyhow, interesting stuff to me. I'm definitely, even though I call myself Professor Rapport, most of the time I'm professing how much I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
and that's part of growing up and getting smart, is that you go from the know-it-all teenager to the, realizing how much you don't know by the time you die,
Oh, yeah. And working that existential equation.
Let me ask you about another song that you might know have you heard the one about the Mamas and the Papas? California Dreamin'?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about that change in the lyrics?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're talking about Mandela's. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah,
well,
go
there was the one, I think it's the second verse, stopped into a church, we passed along the way, well, I got down on my knees, and what do you remember? Do you remember those lyrics?
Got down my knees and begin to pray.
Yeah, that's
what pops into my head.
Yeah. Well, that's what it pops into a lot of our heads, but according to official history, it's always been, I pretend to pray. Not pretended to pray, but, very incorrect use of grammar. I pretend to pray. Got down on my knees and I pretend to pray. Yeah.
Another one of those discordant pauses.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of cognitive dissonance, and this is you're talking up my alley here. Like I said, the our evolution doesn't happen in linear, smooth, continuous flow. Evolution happens just like everything else in this universe, part matter and part energy, and it's constantly in a state of change one way or the other. But I do believe that we are being with these strange and bizarre, what should we call them, psychological anomalies, that this is what challenges minds to evolve, and the source of that challenge is the eternal mystery. Is it that tiny 0.0001% of humanity that is so absolutely pure of mind and genius, that it is somehow creating this effect, or is it are we on the cusp of opening our minds to more dimensions, the 9 proven dimensions, so and you are aware, right, that 9 dimensions have been proven.
Right.
Even though they're theoretically proven, they're just as solid as rock. And we go to Julian Barber's mini worlds theory, which is just just a kind of a layman's look, you know, at the multidimensional theoretics. And the fact that this guy he's the go-to guy about this stuff. I don't know if did I talk to you about Julian Barber before? He's
the British physicist. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he lives in his 800-year-old family estate on the lawns of Oxford.
Okay, that's right. I knew it was a university. I'm trying to remember which one.
Yeah. But the Barber family has been they've been friends with many people who have had quite an impact on humanity, up to and including Alice, who wandered the lawns of Oxford there and kind of intrigued Lewis Carroll with her imagination, her imaginary stories and things that she made up as like a little girl. You know, she made up, like all little kids, will make up stories and whatnot. Apparently Alice was pretty proficient with her imagination. And this syncing this back to the Mandela effect and how odd synchronicities, and when we look at the picture, we're constantly taking we're acquiring input and processing it, and acquiring and processing, and this is to my way of thinking, this is this Mandela effect, like you're talking about. So well, I mean, we're always on the cusp, of an evolutionary event. I mean, it could be 5 minutes from now or 500 years from now. We're always on that cusp. And evolutionary events are generally accompanied by chaos and disorder and trauma and people basically being forced into a more primitive state are beneficial, but are also just basically asleep because we don't need them.
But they're not junk DNA, right?
Oh no, absolutely not. Most of those genes are the reason we're here today. But what was I going to say? I like my train of thought back on track here. Yeah, those dormant genes are awakened, as a result of some apocalyptic event, and that can come from any number of sources. So and as far as the Mandela thing goes, I think we have a whole number of, I'll say, quasi-Mandela thoughts running around in our heads. And this is I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting time. I would, we just lost probably one of the greatest in modern history, anyway, one of the greatest physicists the world has ever seen. And his parting gift to us was a dire warning about suicide, about humanity committing suicide, with creating an artificially sentient form, like I guess you could call it a life form. It's just a different basis of construction. But he apparently, now I don't know. This could have been he could have had sort of a I guess you could call it a mischievous twist. This gentleman was known to be mischievous, and he might have had a mischievous twist in this dire warning that I haven't quite put a finger on. So they're here talking about humanity. Well, does humanity, if we are becoming more and more proactive, in our own evolutionary process, that natural process, and obviously we are. I mean, we've got all these cutting edge sciences where it took the Egyptians, 50 years to hybridize some of the vegetables that we eat every day. We're looking at accelerating that process to blindingly fast right now.
Yeah.
And but even so, I really liked your conversation with that young lady there, and the fact that acceptance is the thing that really frees the mind. Love, other different approaches, but the fact is, what frees the mind is what cleans out the clutter, and here spring is on us, and I'm looking at spring cleaning, getting the old man cave shoveled out, and I got an old couch that I want to get rid of, and then I'm thinking, I got this other stuff that I want to get out of here so that I could kind of get a better, once again, a fresh start on the year. And also, I think that process is healthy with our minds too, to get rid of the clutter,
definitely.
Reorganize things, and live in a kind of a mental state of, I can let these evolutionary waves drown me. I can let them beat me to the ocean floor and pound me around, or I can learn to ride, learn to use the energy to my benefit, rather than allowing it to crush me.
Totally.
I think that's an optimistic, healthy attitude.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do? I've heard so many theories, getting back to the Mandela effect, that, maybe it was some teenager in his room figured out how to manifest things with his mind, and, he's like keeps trying and changing things just to see if he's doing it, or it could be.
I really think it's an odd synchronicity to me that this phenomenon has been named the Mandela effect, and also, looking at the effect of the Mandelas in South Africa, and what they're doing down there, putting old car tires around somebody that they want to, crucify, putting gasoline in the tire and setting it on fire, and the visage is just it is absolutely appalling and barbaric and disgusting and shocking. And to me, that is in one respect, it is also that what I call that discordant pause, like in the song, one is the loneliest number. There's the music of life and the way things happen, and the way we react to them. There is a definite, to me, there's always on the event horizon of our evolving minds, there is this wildly chaotic flux, and we're, like I was talking about with the wave, you can't experience it without being slammed to the ocean floor. You can't experience it without tumbling around in the waves, and because if you want to learn to surf, and if you want the benefits of benefits how to ride the waves, then you have to endure that. We have these challenges that we're constantly met with, and of course the only empiric goal is to overcome those challenges.
And that's sort of our lesson here, right? It's like a classroom, trying to learn to get along.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. I have. Yeah. My surfing around here on these talk show blogs, you know, these conference calls. Yeah, I have met quite a variety of receptions with my expressions, and I you know, I'm very much an my one and only addiction that I intend to carry with me into the great never never, you know, is a long-standing addiction to truth. Yeah. Because to me, truth is the very best psychotropic drug, whatever, you know, the calmative, you know, truth has all of the effects of all the drugs. Yeah. And the only side effect is learning to ride the wave.
Yeah, and some truths are very they can really rock your world. They can disturb, you know, just your normal, comfortable place that you find yourself in. That's why a lot of people, I think, don't seek out truth. They don't really honestly want to know, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we are each of us in our own particular state of evolution, and I don't mean to say that with arrogantly or that sort of thing. We are, all of us, uniquely not qualified to judge in those respects. You know, if this person could be, you know, locked into their own personal hell. What do they call that? There's a name for it. But where you just keep cycling around and around and around, and the equation of mind is irresolute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. That sounds like a seizure, well, you know, but also on a bigger scale you're talking about, right?
I can equate it personally to those times in my life when in fact I was being severely challenged by an irresolute equation, and I would try to sleep, and this whole scenario would play like a looping, causality loop. That's what I'm trying to think of.
Oh, causality loop.
Play like a causality loop in my mind, and it just seemed like, you know, there's no escape. How do I get out of this? And I become so obsessed with escaping that I stop looking for a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. That's what I'm trying to say anyway.
I feel you. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate. Are you still a professor by any chance, or I guess?
No, I never was a professor. I kind of took the name as a joke because, you know, a lot of people think
now you're the confessor,
right?
I'm just playing.
There you go.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in. I actually thought that we had Todd on the phone. I thought that'd be interesting to have you guys talk, because, you know, the last time you both had the math stuff going on, I was like, I kind of underqualified for that. But yeah, this
maybe I'll change it. I'm sitting here running all these great old songs through my head. Maybe I'll change it from professor to the Great Pretender.
Yeah. That's good stuff. What part of the country are you calling in from again, Rapport?
I'm in Washington State. I'm in the
Washington State.
Pacific Northwest, the Tacoma area.
Yeah, you got to try to make it out to East City if you're not doing anything. That'd be fun. Do a sky watch. Have you seen any craft out that way in Washington? Anything that looked
wait, back. UFO watchers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, yeah. Oh, I grew up here, and McCord Air Force Base was. I was always fascinated with flying machines as a kid. You know, airplane. I mean, airplanes made my day, and you know, so I was constantly watching the sky, and one particular time, my friend Mikey, we couldn't have been like 8, 9 years old, and we were outside, and in the sky over McCord Air Force Base, was just this phenomenon. I mean, these giant craft were coming down out through the clouds, you know, and it was a whole bunch of them. And I mean, these things were big, you know, they were, I mean, to me, and, you know, your childhood memories, when you see things, your brain tends to fill in the gaps, you know, so I can't say for sure. But Mikey and I watched those for a long, long time, and we were probably too young to look at it in a George Orwell sense, you know, Mars, invasion from Mars and all that stuff. I mean, we were just we were just fascinated by this thing we had never seen in our lives. And yeah.
Do you remember how big it was, or was it like too hard to tell?
Is when it came down through the clouds, and it just sort of flew a pattern like above the Air Force Base, and then it went back up. And all I can remember is that when it came down through the clouds, it brought a huge amount of the clouds with it. You know, it was like it was pushing the clouds down, and before the clouds could dissipate, they sort of trailed off behind it, and then it went back up. But as far as the craft itself, it was almost, like I said, when you're young like that, you know, your mind wants to fill in the gaps. But it wasn't really visible per se. It was like it was glimmering and shining, you know, and it was winking in and out of existence. And yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a show. Obviously, it's stuck with me for 65 years. So yeah, and I never saw anything over Mount Rainier. That was where the whole flying saucer thing kind of got its start. I think there was some guy flying a Cessna around Mount Rainier, and he saw a spaceship. And at that time, spaceships were just starting to get popular, you know, in fiction, and the idea of space aliens and that sort of thing. Humanity was starting to wonder about its gods, I think, and looking for more plausible answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I grew up, you know, watching Mount Rainier, and oh my gosh, you know, there's some of the phenomenon that they're I mean, spectacular images. There's their particular effect where Mount Rainier will have a series of red rings rising above it, you know, and this is all, you know, you know, natural, explainable phenomenon.
Yeah.
But I can understand they're the natives here. There's some holy spot that they've got, like downtown on the waterfront, and once a year on the equinox, you know, they all gather there, you know, like they have, I don't know how many thousands of years, and they watch the sun rise directly out of the peak of Mount Rainier. And well, that marks the, you know, the rebirth of planet Earth, the end of the little death, you know, known as our winter, and then the start of spring and that sort of thing, and recognizing, you know, that and celebrating the end of winter. Obviously, I celebrate the end of winter every year too. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here. A lot of like urban legends, Bigfoot. My sister's husband. Well, my sister her husband lived out in Enumclaw, and that's out, you know, in Bigfoot country. And then his parents lived in Black Diamond, but they had friends who they would go visit, and these people were pretty damned esoteric. They had African lions, you know. They had these tame African lions running their property, and they would. And here again, I mean, you know, I think it could have been peacocks, but they used to listen to the Bigfoot, you know, when they would yell to each other, they would communicate in this real high pitched vocalization, which the way my sister described it, it sounded what, you know, if you ever heard peacocks screaming, you know what I'm talking about. Sound like a woman screaming. They sound like a woman screaming for help. Help! 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 And real high pitched.
Oh, that's creepy.
But yeah, they. Why? What's creepy about it? You know. I mean,
well, I mean, if you're out there, you hear them screaming, and you don't realize that's what peacocks sound like. That would be pretty scary, you know.
Oh, yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have known. I would have thought it was a woman yelling.
This couple were actually degreed behavioralists, and they had raised these lions from cubs, and the lions were vegan. They would not eat meat, and they had actually, I don't know how they had done it. These animals even had an aversion to meat. They love milk, dairy products, eggs, that sort of thing, but they wouldn't eat meat. And my sister and brother-in-law were just all fascinated with all this. And he had a demonstration that he did for people. He took a pan of milk, cow's milk, and he put it down. And of course the lions just slurped it right up. And then he took another pan and he took one dropper of blood, put it in the milk, and the lions would smell it and they wouldn't eat it. Damnedest thing. You know, amazing how, you know, minds can be programmed. This just you know, you get into that programming area of the mind, and you know, it's just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, and especially with human beings. You know, we're programmed. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We have a particular you know, worldview that we're supposed to grow into, you know, in order to be productive, happy, healthy. You know the drill.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Rita's saying that she had to learn that the hard way. It scrolled out before I got to read it. About the peacocks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I've seen them at the zoo, but, you know, I guess they were never screaming. I guess they reserve it for when stuff gets serious, huh?
And I don't know if, when I was a kid, for some weird reason, peacocks got to be the thing to have. You know, they were the in thing to have. Every now and then, some neighbor would decide to have peacocks, and they probably didn't realize what they were like. But you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with this shrill scream, you know, and you wake up out of a sound sleep, and your heart's in your throat, and you're looking around left and right like, oh my God, what the hell was that? You know. Yeah. And my old man, he was a pretty tolerant fella, actually, but when you pushed him past that tripwire, you know, there was no holding him back. Right. You know, there was more than one time he'd go stomping over to the neighbors in his bathrobe, you know, and slippers, pounding on the door.
To get them to shut their peacock up, you mean? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't
we have,
shut those damn things up, I'm going to shut them up for you.
We have roosters a few doors down, and you'll hear them, you know, in the morning. And if you've got any kind of sound going on, you're like, what's that sound? It shouldn't be any sound coming. And then you'll turn on the TV or whatever, and you'll hear what it is. You're like, oh, it says roosters. It's crazy.
Oh, we had, that's another funny thing. The old man, well, the people that own the peacock says, well, it's the mating season, you know. And the old man says, well, get him a damn mate. But we did have a neighbor who had chickens, you know. It was a hobby, and he had all these chickens. And my mother was driving to work in the morning, and she said, here was this, you know, chicken aviary with all these chickens in it, and there was this big peacock sitting up on top of the wire looking in. Figured that old peacock figured if he couldn't get some peacock, he was going to get some chicken.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Let's see. I got a couple of callers waiting, so I guess I'm going to get back to the phone line.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No problem at all. I always appreciate talking to you, and call back again, buddy. I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. See you next time.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Street.
Unbiased and on the fence.
Let's see what we have here. 321 area code, and I believe the next caller will be Bob. But 321, you were first.
Hey, it's Ronnie in Virginia, even though I'm still 321 area code.
Oh, yeah, you had me thinking you're Florida. I'm like, okay, Florida. Let's see.
I'll have to start calling you on the house phone. I finally got a phone number. No, I just had a quick story that I remembered. It actually happened before my mom passed away, of course, because it's about my mom. Mm-hmm. And so it was probably in either late 2016 or early 2017. Mm-hmm. But it's my own Mandela effect in my life that I had forgotten about. I have a mole that my mom had, and it's in a very awkward place. If I wear the wrong kind of bra, it irritates it, like under my chest. And she had it, and I always, I remember it when I was a kid. She would wear a bathing suit. You could see it. And, of course, we were in Florida, so we were always wearing bathing suits. And when she was that last year before she died, I was talking about it, that it had irritated me. And I was like, I have this, it's the same mole that you have. And she's like, what? What mole? And I'm like, the one you have right here. She's like, I don't have a mole there. I'm like, yes, you do. I remember it. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was the craziest thing. And I remember it clearly because I always hated it. So it was like, not something that I would fabricate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those memories that apparently could have never happened.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, that was crazy to me. So I just wanted to share my Mandela effect in my own life, my own weird thing that happened. So, yeah, I have no explanation for it. It's like, how could she forget that? Did you have it, I asked her, did you have it removed? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I never had a mole there.
What?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Maybe she wore it off with her bra and forgot about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that would be possible, except she was really, she wasn't vain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she didn't sit in front of the mirror for hours, but she was very meticulous about her appearance always.
Yeah.
So, it was something that she would remember. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm losing my mind. So I just kind of forgot about it because, after that, life got busy and I wasn't awake. So I didn't even know what Mandela effect was back then. I just thought that was weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I love those. I've had those come with different products. I've had it come about where I'm like, oh, I remember seeing that and thinking it was weird. I didn't know about the Mandela effect though. So, you just.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. JCPenney's was one for me. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't remember that. But it was something I always put, well, they changed their logo. They, a corporate decision kind of thing.
I always felt like it was a lawsuit. I'm like, somebody must have sued them because they used their name or, That's what it seems like. It's always a lawsuit these days for somebody to change anything. But yeah, that's really weird though. I've heard of people having like injuries that switched legs and they're like, look, I know it was my right knee that it had gotten cut or whatever, and now it's my left. And so yeah, that's just strange. It's really strange. And of course I had a rib that was crooked that's apparently straight now, and my heart's in a different place. So I've had things that I'm like, how did these changes happen? And I never noticed. It's like I woke up and it's always been this way. So it's wild stuff.
It is wild. Well, I'm dying to hear Go-Kart Bob's story, so I'm not going to stay on. I want to hear you and him talk. So my opinions on religion, I never felt like I belonged in church. My parents were Catholic when I was little, and they would take us to church, and I just never felt anything. It just never connected to me. And then when I got older, by fifth grade, I was not going to church anymore. I just refused to go. I was like, I'm not going. So my mom changed to Baptist later on. My dad just quit going. And then when I was around 18, I just decided I was going to read the Bible and just, try and connect. And still, I always liked Jesus, but the rest of the Bible, I just never had any use for it. I just felt like it was a bunch of, stories, from history and from a perspective, that this was their story, but it's not the story of humanity. So, I never really became I don't know if I was a Christian ever, I never thought that there was only one way to go. So, I always thought, all these people who don't believe that, they're all condemned because they won't say these magic words, Well, you just have to say that Jesus is your Savior, and then you're saved.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, that's...
It really is amazing how they took the focus off his life and his teachings and put it on his death and someone else's teachings, namely Paul. But yeah, it's really strange though that, once you're in it and you get out of it. And I had just the opposite experience. I felt God in church, but then when I left church, I also felt God, and then it was like, wait a minute. I thought that was something you feel in church, but now I realize God meets you wherever you are, and it's like you'll just have that experience wherever you're at and whenever you're seeking and looking for it,
Yes, that's what I think too. And, I never doubted that there was a God. Never. But I never believed that the God that was talked about in the Bible was that being that I had a connection with. So I'm dying to hear what Go-Kart Bob has to say. He's going to talk about the Antichrist. So
the Antichrist. That's a very interesting topic. And
Yeah,
of course, I have multiple perspectives on it, and I haven't decided on one yet, but we'll see what Bob has to say. Kind of unbiased and on the fence sometimes.
You're famous for that, I think.
Well, thank you so much, Ronnie. Lots of love to you in Virginia.
Love to you, too. Everybody, have a great week. Mwah. Bye.
Mwah. Bye-bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
Unbiased and on the fence.
All right, going back to the phone lines. 541 area code. Who am I talking to?
Me.
Me.
Dang.
The Bob?
Dang, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I hear you great. This is Bob, right?
Yes, it is. Go-Kart Bob.
All right. Well, welcome back. Did you hear me accidentally call Go For It Randy Go-Kart Randy the other day?
Yes, I did hear that. I just tuned in. It was real funny. I've missed a few of your shows, and then I tuned in right at that part. You know, like 5 minutes. I've been listening, and he said, "Go-Kart Randy." I go, "Is there another go-kart here?"
That's so funny because I had actually done it off air with Sherry, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I don't do that on air. And then I managed to make it through that whole show, and then it was the next show that I was referring back to it, and sure enough, I slipped up and called him Go-Kart Randy instead of Go For It Randy. So I just didn't want him to think I was. I didn't want him to I didn't want him to think I was making fun of his name because I'm sure he might not know you, you know. And he was like, why, you know. Go For It, Go-Kart, that kind of sounds similar. I don't know. He might not have even noticed. Who knows? Okay, so we got Antichrist stuff to talk about here.
Yes, you mentioned once before, I think, that you wanted to talk about that, and I was thinking about calling in for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have I got a few perspectives on it. You go with the mainline Christian view of it? That
No, not at all. Not at all.
What's your feelings on the Antichrist?
Well, it's pretty funny, really, because I don't see it in the same way at all. I think what most people think of the Antichrist is like the Hollywood point of view, like demons, monsters, you know, supernatural beings, whatever. I think it's really simple. I think the word misuse. I was trying to make some notes. I said I should make some notes on this subject. And
yeah, I don't really do notes. I just kind of let my higher self chime in. Notes getting away.
I mean, stay on subject.
Right.
I was just going to say there's like, what I think is there's three main deceptions in the church. Basics of Christianity got, you know, things that they don't quite understand, which is, and is rightfully so. One is his name. It's always a question about what's God's name. Is it Yahweh? Is it Allah? Is it Jehovah? And these are just subjects, common subjects that people discuss and debate. And then the second thing that the big debate is about is the law. Are we under the law? Or are we not under the law? Did Jesus hang the law on the cross? I don't think so either. I have my theory on that is very simple. When people, the whole concept of this subject is about misusing or misinterpreting, misunderstanding verses in the Bible. I think that most of them are blown out of proportion into these big Hollywood movie style views, like Tim LaHaye's Left Behind movies and books and all that paints a whole different picture than what I think the Bible is actually trying to say.
Right.
The third deception is one of the biggest ones, is the Antichrist. What is this Antichrist thing? Oh, I've always wondered, like anybody else, anybody that reads or goes to church, they've heard that word. Whoa, Antichrist is coming. The Antichrist is coming. Here's my theory is real simple. So I go and look it up. I want to read about the Antichrist. I look up. I got a computer with a Bible, eSword Bible. It has connects you right to the concordance. Has a concordance numbers on every word. The thing, if computers will read the Bible for you. That's how I did it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I look up the word Antichrist. It's only in the Bible in 4 verses. It's only used 5 times. So what is all this story about, Antichrist coming to take over the world? Number one, the first thing I noticed is it doesn't say the Antichrist.
Right. That's a very good point, Bob. Very good point. Because we have many theories, we've reduced the Antichrist down to a single man that's going to come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I posted this question on a lot of videos I've seen about Antichrist. I go, and here's my question. Why is everybody looking for one Antichrist to come when the Bible clearly says there are many already in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know that verse, right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm familiar with that one. Yeah.
And so that's what it says. That's all it says. It says you have heard that Antichrist shall come. It doesn't say the Antichrist. It says you have heard that Antichrist shall come. But I tell you, there are many already in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I go in a literal sense, and that's how I'm more of a literalist thinker, and go by the literal words in the book more than people's theories.
Yeah.
So I go, does anybody notice that it doesn't say the Antichrist? Because it's the word the. When you put the in front of it, that makes it imply that it's singular.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why the Antichrist is coming. There's no such thing. The Bible doesn't say that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I said it's funny to me because when you actually read the text, you notice, and you got to be, it's little things that matter.
Yeah.
So there's all these videos and all these stories. The Antichrist is coming. The Antichrist is coming.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I go, anytime you're adding a word to the scripture, you're changing the story.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the text. You're changing the concept. One little word. So anyway.
Well, I think, to build off of what you were saying, I think you run into a lot of the same thing when you look up not Antichrist, but Christ, and the way Christ is used in the Bible, Because we do see the Christ. I mean, it's used a lot more than Antichrist, of course, but you see other times when it's Christ Jesus or Christ, without the in front of it.
Yeah. Well.
So that's really the other side of the coin, and you see the same thing happening.
I had my thought. I kind of lost my thought there.
Yeah, the Christ returning or Christ returning could imply two very different ideas, I mean, Christ without the in front of it could be implying the Christ consciousness that what we typically think of Jesus Christ had learned to tap into. Something to think about.
Well, like my whole point is to dispel the myth. That, here's the good example of this misuse of the word is I've heard preachers will be reading 2 Thessalonians. When you see someone stand in the holy temple of God declaring he's God, deceiving himself, right? What that literally says is son of perdition. But I've heard so many preachers, they'll say, when you see Antichrist standing in the temple of God, I go, they're swapping the word.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally saying Antichrist, but that is not what the text says. And most people's answer is, well, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing, Bob. The beast, the dragon, the false prophet, that's all Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, but it doesn't say that. Why would it use these words? My literalist thinking is that each of the words represent specific things.
Yeah.
Represent very, very specific things, and what they are is human attributes of people, and their thinking, their actions, and what they'll be doing. It's all a prophecy about what will be going on. These are all just signs before Jesus returns. It's not an end-all, be-all thing, but it's made up to be like that. Right?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah, and somebody's saying, yeah, you can take a lot of things symbolically in the Bible, too. I mean, you can take it literally or symbolically, or you'll find that you understand a scripture a certain way, and then as you learn and grow, you understand it a completely different way on a deeper level. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of levels to how the Bible can be used and understood, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of words are meant to be, are used symbolically, just like Jesus always taught in parables, and they ask him why. You know, because he says people will understand it and some people won't. You kind of wonder, well, why don't you want everybody to understand? But anyways, these words, I said I would love to write a book, or you know, these examples of words, or the meanings of, like bread, water, blood, wine, all these symbolic words, and not give their definitions, but their symbolic meaning. Like bread being the Word of God, right?
Yeah.
It just represents something. And so I get the word Antichrist in a similar way. I go, what is it really saying? What does it represent? By definition, but by more like context of what it's trying to say. I think sometimes what surprises me is when you look up the meaning of the word anti-Christ. Anti means non, or, you know, what do they say? Instead of. I disagree with that definition. I think it means just simply non, and Christ means it's Christos, meaning anointed. So an Antichrist would simply be someone who's non-anointed.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, it's simple. And it means that person isn't anointed with the Holy Spirit, as people say, oh, I got the Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit. I don't like to overuse that one. You know, because it's more of a personal thing. You can't prove anything to anybody. It's like saying, oh, God spoke to me. You know, well, anybody can say that.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't prove anything. I get in some arguments, theological arguments, and then it always comes down, well, the Holy Spirit told me. You know?
Right.
Well, I could say the same thing. I could say, hey, the Holy Spirit told me I was going to have an argument with you today, and I was going to show you this scripture. You know, I mean, you can make up stuff.
Right.
And again, back to my literalist point of view, to really study words, to try to understand. And here's what Antichrist means. Very simple. It says it's somebody who doesn't believe in the Father and Son. I say relationship, doesn't understand the relationship between the Father and Son, because it's a big argument about who Jesus is, who God is.
Right.
I simply, God is the Father, Jesus is the Son, mediator between God and man, and it's a simple point of view. But anyways, and it also says, what does it say? That Christ doesn't believe in the Father and Son, and doesn't believe Jesus Christ came in the flesh. Which there's other verses about that. And anyway, so this down here, now we get to my theory.
Okay.
My theory is what this represents, the mindset of people. It's just simple. And and also I wanted to say, there's nothing in the scripture, those 4 verses that talks about Antichrist, none of it says there's somebody coming to take over the world. that says somebody's coming to make us started one world religion. These are all the Hollywood stories that you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this Antichrist is going to come and stand in the temple of God. All of that's fairy tale.
Yeah.
It's not what the Bible is saying at all. It's far more simple. And that's what talking to Jews and Muslims you'll find out too, because they don't have that Hollywood point of view.
Yeah.
They see it more on the earth, more simple lessons in life. They all see it as a philosophy kind of. They don't see beasts and dragons and monsters and demons like Christianity, Western Christianity has turned it into.
Yeah.
That's all part of this deception. Deception is profuse about who God is, who Jesus is, what his laws are, and what his name is. And the name to me is always important, because there's verses, like the Lord's Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That means hallowed, and these are the words I've studied, because I don't know what hallowed means.
Right.
I would look that up. I would try to find the root meaning in Hebrew and whatever, and what does it mean to hallowed? Because the only other place I remember it is in a commandment. He hallowed and sanctified the seventh day.
Mm-hmm. Set it apart or made it holy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I connect these words. That's why I don't like the word changes in Bibles. What happens is just like I said, I looked up the word on a digital Bible. You can type in any word, Antichrist. You're going to get 4 verses.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what it does is, for me, it connected those words in the New Testament, connected it to the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And then reading, like, say, the word Antichrist isn't in there. Okay, let's say wicked. Another word. Wicked workers of iniquity and stuff. Type in wicked, and you find these verses in the Old Testament. That's what explains what it means. Really, where you get the real root meaning of it, by reading all those scriptures in the Old Testament to tell you what wicked is. When they talk about it in the New Testament, more of a definition of the word, but more of that symbolic understanding.
Yeah, Hollywood does that with a lot of things.
Yeah, well, when you got vague words,
Yeah. Well, I had mentioned it before, that whole Tim LaHaye, the one that worked on the Left Behind series, and I had gotten that book before Left Behind with Charting the End Times and saw what they based all their theories on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so flimsy. I mean, some of the verses you could, like the word rapture not even being in the Bible and caught up, and then you see like all this narrative that they surround around a few verses. I'm like, man, that's really jumping to conclusions. That was really one of my first wake-up calls with this whole theory of how things would play out, is that when I got to looking at it myself and saw how they came to those conclusions, I was like, man, I can think of a dozen different ways you can take this and come up with a whole brand new narrative of how all this is going to play out from those same exact verses,
Right. Yeah, it comes down to this misuse of words, a misunderstanding of words, especially in their symbolic meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like rapture, that's another thing I debate, because there's Matthew 13 when he talks about the wheat and the tares.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's all symbolic words that Jesus used, talking about the harvest, the grapes.
Mm-hmm.
Grapes are the people, and he calls them the reapers, And then the apostles came to him afterwards, and they said, Lord, tell us what's the meaning of this wheat and tares. And he answers them straightforward and says, the harvest is the end of the world, the reapers are the angels, and the angels will come to sever the wicked from among the good.
Mm-hmm.
You go, well, there you go. That's who gets raptured out of here, is the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
I go, it's just, and how will it be like the days of Noah, the days of Lot? What happened? The wicked were taken out.
Mm-hmm.
In Lot's days, the wicked were the ones that were taken out. So why would it be any different this time?
All right.
That's what it says. But all these, the church has painted this picture. Oh, we're the church, and we're the bride of Christ, and He's coming down to marry us. So I don't know where that verse is. Don't remember that one. It must be a Mandela effect.
Right. Yeah, I know some of it, like the whole idea of him going to hell and getting the keys of death, hell, and the grave, and that was another one that's like you have to look it up in the Apostles' Creed or other alternative texts that aren't in the Bible. They weren't, canonized. That's a whole nother topic. I think we kind of touched on that before. Is that you've got Jesus quoting from the Book of Enoch. You got Jesus' brother quoting from the Book of Enoch, yet the Book of Enoch isn't included into the Bible because it wasn't good enough. And now if it's good enough for Jesus and his brother, and there's actually other partial quotes from it too, from other people too. But, I always focus on Jesus because that's like the main character. You think if he's quoting from it, people don't know that because they didn't read the Book of Enoch, so they don't realize that originated in this book that wasn't good enough for the Bible according to Rome.
Tablet shut down. I tried to get the chat back.
Let's see. I don't think we're missing much in the chat. They're just chatting away.
Probably bored. Yeah, I bored 20 people are gone.
Oh, you said 20 people left?
It looks like it.
I don't really pay attention to the numbers unless it's a synchronicity. Then it stands out to me. We get 111. I'm like, hey, 111 people in here. 77, something like that. But
oh, there it goes. Anyway, well, back to the Antichrist thing. What I think that really means, people who don't accept the Father and Son. Now, I'm gonna alienate a lot of people with this. Who is it that doesn't believe in the Father and Son?
Yeah.
A lot of people would say Jews. They didn't accept Jesus as the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
Muslims, they call him a prophet, but they don't think it's right to call him the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
But Christians, they believe he is God.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that one because Jesus, there's no text where Jesus literally said he is God.
And there was a big debate on that. I think it was the Council in Nicaea, one of the councils back in the early part of, back when they were coming up with the canon of Scripture and all that. That was a huge debate on whether, was he God, was he man, was he God and man,
Exactly.
and then...
That's who declared him as God.
Yeah.
I go, so who's standing in the temple of God declaring he's God?
Right.
The Roman Catholic Church. It always points to the...
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things I always bring up, too. You know how, like, the Pope wears the whole, the vicar of Christ? That's the representative of Christ. And if, you're supposed to connect with Christ on your own, make that, personal connection. but yet someone's standing in the way saying, no, don't connect directly, connect through us. We're the representatives of Christ. To me, that's like Antichrist in and of itself, you know? Or it could be one form of Antichrist.
Well, that's the thing. Literally, when you look at the text, it doesn't say Antichrist, singular. It says there are many Antichrists, plural.
Yeah.
Again, people, you know, they don't get that mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to answer Rita. Rita just wrote something. We're all gods, Jesus said. This gets into that literal study. The word God, she spelled it with the uppercase G, capital G-O-D. But the Bible says we are God. It's in a lowercase G, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a difference. That's why I love the King James, because it depicts those things. Whenever there's added words in the King James, they're italicized, so you notice what words are added and what words aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly for translation, like they might have one word for something, but we got three. We got to say it's three in English.
Mm-hmm.
It's more descriptive.
Well, I knew about the one, and I don't know, maybe Jesus was actually quoting that one in Psalms 82:6. But I'll have to look into the interlinear. And go ahead, I'll look while you're talking.
Because Jesus used the word Lord a lot, too. That's another one where it's different, depicted by the capital letter, the lowercase letter, or all capital letters.
Right.
Because when it's spelled Lord, it's spelled all capital letters. That is the replacement word for the YHVH.
Yeah.
Grammaton.
Exactly, because they weren't allowed to put that right. They weren't allowed to actually use his real name. It was a sin to use the actual name, so they replaced it with Lord. Mm-hmm.
Here's a cool one I found on his name.
Okay.
Because they say Hova is Yah-Hova, right, or Jehovah, depending on whether it's Latin or Greek or Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew is Yah. Greek is G, G-E-H.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of how you spell it, it still should have the same meaning. That's what gets me. Is I go, people don't understand the meaning of these words they're using. That helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This word I found in the concordance called Hava, right below Hova. They say God's name is Yahovah. Hova means ruin and mischief. Literal, that's the Hebrew meaning of Hova. Why would you call God the God of ruin and mischief? Right?
Yeah.
Later, it's Hava, H-A-V-A-H,
mm-hmm.
and that means cause to be or to breathe in the sense of existence. Root word, Hava.
Mm-hmm.
So that fits the YHVH. I go, that's Yah-Hava. That's the name I use when I pray to God. I pray to that means the one who creates. He's the creator.
Right.
I've even showed this to Jews, and they go, "Whoa, I didn't know that." Or people who know Hebrew. That's the other thing. I found out that Jewish people, they're just as mixed up as Christians. They got all kinds of theories and ideas and stuff, too.
Yeah.
So I go, yeah, we're all mixed up. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. It's all about information and misinformation, misuse of words and making big stories out of one verse from the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way I think, if we're viewing God as like this loving parent, I use parent because a lot of the old texts, like some of the Gnostic texts, will say the father, mother, or whatever, because there was a singular word for parent, like androgynous. But if you think of a loving father, mother character that is really just loving you, like, if you think of how much smarter this being would be than humans, and if they're like lording over the humans, but they're loving the humans, then if they see that you're seeking them out, even if you go down the wrong path, it's like, I think it's just kind of ridiculous to think that, if you fall, they're going to kick you down or stick you in the corner forever and burn you forever if they really love you, because, how much, there's even a scripture like that, how much more does your Father in heaven love you than you love your own kids, and it uses that example of giving your kid a scorpion if you ask for, an egg, or what is it, a stone if you ask for bread, or a serpent if you ask for fish. There's that scripture, and it says, if you're willing to do that, well, I'm not willing to really, if my kid's trying to learn to walk, I'm not going to punish him forever because he falls down or he has trouble learning to walk. And I kind of see it as that same mentality. If there is this single God figure up there. Yeah. I just don't see a loving God doing that to his children. He would, continue to pick them up and help them and find them wherever they're at, so.
Yeah, again, it's because of these symbolic words, or prophetic words, I sometimes call. And the word hell or fire, I believe the word fire represents judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Down. It's not a lake of fire. We see that's where we always get this image of burning fire, and we can't help it. But what it really represents is God's judgment.
Mm-hmm.
When you see those, this is like Jesus taught. He said, some will understand it, some won't. Some will see the literal meaning, but others will see that spiritual meaning.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my point of view on that one. Word fire. That it's a symbolic word meaning judgment. That's what's going to come. Harsh judgment.
Or it could be purification. I mean, that would be a whole nother way of looking at it that would be more loving. The crucible of purification, how they put the gold to the fire to purify it or whatever. And so, I mean, it doesn't even have to be this destructive thing. It could just mean you're going to, to learn your lessons, you'll have some trials and tribulations. But it could also mean right here on earth. I know a lot of people that are living in hell right now, every day.
Yeah, my life. Yeah, I haven't lived a bowl of cherries,
Yeah.
I was a floor layer. I don't know if you caught that, Shane.
Used to lay floors?
Yes. Yeah, I was self-employed for 35 years.
Oh, wow. How are your knees?
They're fine. I wore knee pads.
I wore knee pads. I wore knee pads too, and they sure don't help after a while. I mean, they help, but it's not like you're pain-free or whatever. But I just did some remodeling, so I didn't do it like you did it every day. But I had, a week here and there doing remodeling where I'd have to, be laying tile or whatever and be down on my knees for several days at a time. So.
When I was about 30 years old, I bought a motorcycle. I got a crotch rocket, and I went out. After about a year of zipping around, I finally got hit, and I did a somersault over the handlebars, came down in the street, and broke my back.
Mm-hmm.
That just changed my life totally.
Oh yeah, man, that's rough.
I rehabbed. I came back from it. Took about 3 months, and I was back to. I needed money. I was my sole source of income, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to taken on small jobs. I'd go do a little bedroom carpet or a little bathroom linoleum or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's still make $100 a day and still get by.
Yeah.
But my back was messed up. I continued to work for like 20 more years until I fell down these stairs and re-injured my back again. And that's when I filed for disability.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm at today.
Wow.
Long time to get on disability, which is almost a year ago exactly today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they don't make it easy.
February, March last year is when I finally got classified as an old crippled old man. Kind of reads the Bible.
Yeah. How long did that take for you to get on disability? Years or just months?
12 years.
Wow.
Because they denied me the first time. What they do is they drug it out for almost 8 years till I finally got denied.
Oh, man.
Then had to refile. And I knew at that point, and I'm like 57, 58 years old, I knew that I wasn't going to get it because of what the lawyers said and stuff. I wouldn't get it until I was 60 years old. Fortunately, I had to have a heart surgery. Around got fat.
What, like a bypass surgery or something?
Yeah, I had a triple bypass.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's almost 4 years ago. That's what I was saying back to the Mandela stuff, is after that surgery, I came out of that really weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, I was really confused, and the doctor said this was normal. Because of the anesthesia, being knocked out, almost killed, you know, my body was dead, I guess, to do this damn surgery. But I come out of it, my heart's fine, they did the surgery, that all went well. But I was confused and they said about 18 months, a year to 18 months, you'll feel a little disoriented. I was very disoriented, and it took me 2 years.
That was one of the reasons why you looked at, like many people when the Mandela effect happened, you looked at, or you at least considered that maybe you died during that time?
Yes, exactly. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff was going on. I was going, 2 years later, you know, I'm coming out of this stuff and finally feeling like myself again, and I'm trying to get my life routine back going and exercise and doing all this change of diet, blah, blah, blah. And then I get the internet, which I hadn't had for over 10 years. And like I said, I'd noticed stuff before that, but then when I got on the internet, that's when I found a photohelix. What's her name? That Nancy Harrison? Her last name is Harrison.
Oh, Lisa Harrison.
Lisa Harrison. That's who I was trying to think of before when I said they were from Australia.
Yeah. Is she not?
Well, I think they lived there and then they traveled back, or one friend was in the UK and one was in Australia. I couldn't figure out the personal stuff.
Right.
But that's who I was talking about. These two videos, these two people they're talking about Mandela effect. I think it was one of them. And I said, yeah, I noticed that the Kit Kat bar didn't have a hyphen in it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I go, that's weird, because I remember, and I go, so is that from my surgery? Is that my confusion from my surgery that's doing that?
Right.
I go, because I don't feel real sure about anything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right with you on that one. It's like, you know, every time I hear something, I always have to double check it, even if I know it's changed, you know, like I did earlier when he mentioned the truth shall set you free. I'm like, uh-oh, did it change back? It's like always in the back of my mind, you know, if something pops up, I'm like, is this a Mandela effect? Or, You know, I've never been like that, where you have to double check things that you know are a fact, you know, in your mind, and you have to just go double check it because it could have changed in an impossible way, you know.
Right. And then I think it was Photo Helix that said the words changed in the Bible, and my jaw hit the floor. I go, what the F? So that's bullshit, man. This guy's crazy. I ain't watching his videos.
His Photo Helix, he was around before the Mandela Effect, wasn't he? Judging by the subscribers, I think he was around for a while, but I haven't really watched him in a really long time. Is he still putting stuff out?
Oh, I just caught the end of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting on the internet, and I see these videos, and then I link to a couple of them, and I go, look, man, the words in the Bible aren't going to change. That's a bunch of baloney.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up, well, man, I got all kinds of Bibles, you know. I've been reading and studying a little bit. I'm no scholar or anything, but like I said, I dig pretty deep. I remember phrases. I don't remember verses and chapters and stuff.
Right,
I remember what's said in it, you know, and I've always read a King James, so it's Old English, and I always get tripped up on it. The these and thous, and you know, but that stuff doesn't really matter. It doesn't hurt the context.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the Lord's Prayer was something that I wanted to learn a long time ago, and I remember looking it up and reading it, and I always said, "Give us our trespass."
Yeah.
Well, I read it from the King James.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing for me I was really thankful for, is that I really read from the King James Version a whole bunch before I ever branched off into anything else. So you get that KJV foundation, and that's where most of the changes are. Like the very first verse in the Bible, that doesn't seem to affect many of the translations, but it definitely affects the KJV, where, you know, in the beginning God created the heavens, and the earth is now heaven and earth. And I remember a specific conversation with my mom, like, there's more than one heaven? What? You know, and then her talking about 7 heavens, and I don't know. I can't remember what her answer was, but she had some reasoning to the levels of heaven or something, which I never have found a verse. I don't know where the heck she got that from, but, you know.
It's from Enoch. That's from Enoch, too.
Oh, okay.
The 7 heavens.
Yeah, that's right.
I've heard that term, and I always wondered where'd that come from. And somebody told me it was the Book of Enoch, so I looked it up online, and I found several. I found 5, mainly 5, and I only thought 2 of them were reasonable. 2 of them were really bizarre, and one was just so far out there you wouldn't even consider it at all, you know.
Wasn't that's why they kept Enoch out to begin with? It was just a little too crazy sounding, wasn't it?
Pardon?
That's why they left the Book of Enoch out of the Bible. It was just a little too, you know, far out there sounding.
I can't remember exactly what the reason was. Something in it, you know, something about it, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. It is pretty weird stuff in there. But, I mean, even you got that one little clip in Genesis that you can tell that whoever wrote that knew about the Enoch version of, you know, the daughters of, what was it, the one about the Nephilim or whatever in Genesis.
Oh, yeah. Nephilim are the offspring.
Right.
It's like a different breed. They're half human, angels.
Hybrids, yeah.
Hybrids of some sort.
Yeah.
Supposedly picked out. But I have a sister that studies a lot too, and she's really good. She's really good at genealogy. She loves genealogy. She's looked up our whole family history and all that, and she just loves studying. But she does the same thing with the Bible. She was very in-depth studier of the Bible too. And she wrote a small book that never got printed, but she was working on a book about the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent me a copy of it, to proofread, before, and didn't know what to make of it. It's not a subject I did a lot of studying out about, but it was amazing how much my sister knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
About these angels, and again relating to Enoch, about him going, and that's what I read, was Enoch talking about going through the 7 heavens.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little theory question. Does the word heavens represent dimensions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point.
Are they going through dimensions?
Mm-hmm.
What Enoch said, he went through 7 dimensions, right, or 7 heavens. And I go, in science at that time, 20 years ago, when I was doing all this study, basic theory was that there's 7 to 10 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of theories now. They think there's more. Oh, then there was 12, and then there was 20, and now there's 2,000. And shoot, now today is probably endless amount of dimensions. Quantum gets into that quantum stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the Law of One that explained it as octaves. So you got like 7 notes or dimensions in each octave, and then you just keep moving on to higher and higher octaves, like on a piano scale, or like a rainbow that continuously.
Right, it gets into the vibrating string is related.
Yeah.
So the vibrating string, it's not really a vibrating string. It's the energy inside of the smallest atom. What makes an atom stay together is the energy that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say. That's what God is.
Yeah.
They're looking for the God particle, which they call it what? Glue.
Yeah.
That they've used, and that's a term I've used. I go, well, God is the glue of the universe. He's what holds it all together. His force, His energy. That's how I perceive God.
Yeah.
I perceive Him as a man. I perceive Him as an old guy in a gray beard in a chair, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a physical sense. If He was to manifest Himself in the flesh, which I'm sure He can, but you would appear like it because it represents something.
Yeah.
Wisdom, an old guy with wisdom, Cain or whatever, I don't know. And it doesn't, the Bible says don't make any graven image. Don't try to imagine him because he's invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond if there's endless dimensions, he's still beyond that.
Yeah.
How far you go, God is God.
Yeah, that's a whole, you brought up a point that I discovered early on when considering hell as this place of, torment forever. And that is that if God is everywhere, which, omnipresent, He's everywhere, and you were sent out of the presence of God, how could you possibly be sent out of the presence of God? That's one of the reasons why, like, early on I was like, you know what, if there's a hell, it wouldn't be a permanent place of torment. It would be like annihilation, because the only way to get out of God's presence is not to exist. So that was like one of the first debates I would have with, me and my friend that loved to talk about the Bible and try to figure this stuff out, not in an argumentative or a debative way, but just really considering things and being open-minded about it. And that was one of the things I'm like, man, you know what? It sounds like in order to be out of God's presence, you would have to not exist,
Right. Well, that's I think the state we're in. We're cast out of His direct contact.
Mm-hmm.
Contact. Where He goes in the Garden of Eden, we sin, whatever. He casts us out to the stars. That's the same thing that Enoch says that he did to the angels. The fallen angels were cast out to the stars and chained until Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I get my concept of Judgment Day is at the end of the 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus comes, that's Resurrection Day.
Yeah.
He resurrects those that are dead in Christ, and the rest are cast into the grave, and they will remain in the grave until the 1,000 years is finished. The question I ask people, I go, why are there 2 resurrections?
How did you find me?
Oops. I was looking up Arcturus Ra there. I was trying to remember the name. Somebody recommended that I do Arcturus Ra, and I was like, man, I know that name from somewhere. But yeah. So yeah, so you have, okay, so that's the one view. I think they have it, they call it post-millennial view or something. They have a name for all the people that seem to divide over.
Yeah, and so what it says is at the end of the 1,000 years, something is released out of the grave. I go, that's all the people that didn't make it at the first resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
In Revelation, blessed are those who are in the first resurrection. They shall see the kingdom of God, or something. Paraphrase now.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed the, you know, you brought up the Lord's Prayer. Did you notice how it says in earth instead of on earth as it is in heaven?
Absolutely. I would say in earth as it is on heaven, or on earth as it is in heaven. 2 different words.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's both in heaven or in earth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a wild way of thinking about it, because Sherry was bringing it up here in the chat, I see, and she had brought up before this video she had sent me about how it looked like we were on the eye of God, under the lens, and I don't know. It was just kind of a strange way of looking at everything. And you know, I've been looking through the Wingmaker's art, and it looks like there's this one image that I've been really studying it, trying to figure out, because it's supposed to be activating and reveal things to you. So I'll listen to the music and check out the art or whatever. And there's this one where it looks like it's projecting out Earth on just a flat area, and it's just around the person, like, you know, so to the horizon as far as you can see, but there's nothing beyond the horizon from your perspective. And as you move that direction, you've got this big ring around you that's always moving. So technically it is just loading in, just like on video games, just a big flat area of what it's loading in, you know. And of course the sky would have to be spherical just by what we observe or whatever. But, you know, that's why I say that the whole debate about flat or around Earth is, you know, it could just not even be a debate at all. It could just be, you know, with simulation and things like that. It might not even, you know, if you never load in the whole thing, there wouldn't be one or the other. Do you know what I'm saying? It would be like just always one big flat disk of area that it loads in. And that's it, you know.
So, I mean, I think it's a pretty well-known fact that most things in the universe are round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my theory is the universe is just a big bowl of BBs. Everything in it is round.
Yeah. Yeah, different size marbles or something.
Yeah. Why wouldn't the Earth be the same?
All right. But you know, some people see it as like a snow globe or something, so they see it as still possibly being round but flat in a way. You know. I don't know. And you can see this being I don't know, like shaped like an apple, where it's pretty much, it might be perceived as being round, but maybe it's hollow. I mean, I put a lot of, the whole hollow earth thing to me a while back that I went across was just really interesting. And to me, it made a lot more sense than some of what I see going around right now. But, you know, I think it's just another reason to divide over, though, because when you think about it, they present something to you that can't be proven one way or the other. I mean, I see things that are good enough proof for me, you know, to lean one way or the other, but at the same time, it's not good enough to convince anyone else. So, I don't know. I just see it as something to avoid. You know what I mean?
I mean, people can come up with all kinds of theories. That's what I see. It's a lot of people have a lot of theories, and Bible stuff. I think people get the wrong idea going into reading it. You know, they've already heard about Antichrist coming, you know, because it's everywhere. And then you go and read the Bible and you go, oh, there's that part about the Antichrist, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
the structure's already in place, though. The belief system has already been put in place, so it just validates what you heard. But That's one of the reasons why I read the Bible dozens of times is because I had to go back and read it and think, well, let's consider that this part that they teach you in church isn't true because there's no verse to point at that. So let's see how it reads and if it makes sense a completely different way. And that's really the only way you can do it. It's too hard to just think about the Bible and everything you've read and change it over. You just have to start over, read it again in a new perspective and consider new things. And that's really the only right way I found to be able to do that really accurately. Like for instance, Jesus dying on the cross, right? And it was like, did Jesus ever say he came to die on the cross for our sins? You know, did he ever say that? So, I didn't know. I had to go reread it all. You know, and I just encourage anybody to reread it all. Everything that you're told in church to believe, reread the Bible and forget what you've been told and what conclusions would you come to, you know?
Exactly the attitude I had when I finally read it. Like I said, not until I was 40 years old. I believed all this stuff and all these movies. But like I said, I was working every day, just going through normal life, right? I didn't. I believed in God. I've always believed in creation since I was a little kid. And I was baptized when I was 12. We went to church for 2 years, and it was nothing. But I always believed in God. That I go, chicken or the egg thing, you know, which came, you know, I have that inquisitive mind, too, that wants to know things, right? Well, where did the earth come from? I'm just like a little kid going, well, what made it, you know?
Yeah, I drove my mom crazy with all those questions. She finally was just like, I don't know, you can ask the Lord when you get there. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. As Mom doesn't know. But, yeah, all these questions about, you know, where did everything come from? Why are we here? And as I got older, my mind was always on, that's always in the back of my head. What's the purpose of life? Why are we here? What's going on? Who is this God really? What is the story? And that's what I told people about the Bible. I go, hey, it's not a very good story. You know? And it's got a horrible ending. I don't blame people for not wanting to believe in it.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people do. They read it and it scares them.
Yeah.
So this guy's saying this is a scary God.
Yeah.
And there's that theory. That's big theory question. The good God, bad God thing. Okay? Well, how can you be? What kind of God would you be all loving? Oh, it was George Carlin joke.
Yeah, I remember that. You know, that's funny you bring him up because I was a kid and real heavy in the church when I was watching him, and I thought, that guy's going to burn in hell for sure, man. You know, joke. But, you know, it's just that religious programming. And then, like, later on, I was able to actually enjoy his jokes, you know. And another one is Bill Burr has you know, had a few jokes that I like that guy.
Got into the Ten Commandment thing, and then I seen George Carlin do his 10 Commandments, right? That one?
I might have. It's been a while though.
It was kind of like this. Well, 10 Commandments, that's kind of a lot. People aren't going to remember that. Let's just idolatry and fornication. Oh, that's kind of like the same thing. Let's just make that one. And thou shalt not covet thy neighbor. Well, everybody does that. Throw that out, you know. He narrows it down to 2. Now we got 2 commandments. I can't remember the punchline. I'm sorry.
No.
You'll have to look it up. It's on the YouTube. But yeah,
way to create some anticipation. Yeah, that was like, I think Jesus said you can sum up all of the 10 Commandments and love the Lord with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself or something. I can't remember how it was, but
it's all up to love.
Yeah.
I agree with that in theory, you know. But that's again what I think Christianity does is tries to find that one answer. Just ball it all up into one thing. All you got to do is, Jesus is my favorite. Jesus is my favorite. That's it. Done. Yeah. I'm saved. I'm good.
That'd be sweet if it was. I was just gonna say that'd be sweet if everything could be that easy. But you know, we're in this like fast food, just mentality where, you know, we want things down to a quick little thing we can say and be done with it. And yeah, we're good. You know, and the whole once in grace, always in grace thing. Even if I'm wrong on this little tangent I'm going off on, I'm still good. You know.
Like people say, all you got to do is have faith.
Yeah.
Then there's the verse in the Bible that it's James, I think. Show me your faith works. I'll show you my faith by my works.
Yeah.
How much does the church argue with that? Oh, we're not saved by works. We're not saved by works. And I go, it's not saying you're saved. What it's saying, it says Jesus said, behold, I come quickly and give reward to those, or how it says it, based on your works. He rewards. People focus on the negative. They always focus on the negative meaning rather than the positive. Judgment Day is that sins are forgiven, so forget about your sins and focus on the good that you do. And that's what Judgment Day is. You're going to get judged for the good things you do, and you're going to get rewarded for those good things. From helping the little old lady across the street, to just smiling at somebody and making their day because they were down and out. Those little things, those God sees all that. That's knowing your heart. Putting all that into practice, and it's not just one thing. It's a daily thing. It's a thing we get. You know, there's several things. But I think the church is pretty much destroyed the message more than spread it.
Yeah. They sure have sown a lot of confusion.
And again, it's me. It's all a sign of the end. This is all prophesied. This is all collapsing and falling apart. The earth is shaking. I think the earth is breathing. You know, starting to fall up, crack or something. All the weather changes and all that. It's all related to me.
Yeah.
All written in the Bible to me.
Totally, man. Well, I actually have a couple of callers to fit in before the top of the hour. And I think you sparked off some interest and people want to chime in. Let's see what they have to say. I appreciate you calling in, Bob.
That was great. It was great. That was my third time.
Yeah, it's always nice talking to you, buddy.
Okay, man.
All right, later.
I'll see you guys.
All righty.
Love you all in the chat.
Love you, buddy. Have a good one.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Going back to the phone lines, 503 area code. Who's joining the call tonight?
I actually have a couple of callers to put in before the top of the hour. And I think
actually delayed, so I will mute you for a second till it catches up. 503 area code, are you there? Check 1, 2. 503. 503 area code. All right, we'll go to Anna. Anna, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, Anna, welcome to the broadcast.
Oh, yeah, can you unmute Rapport as well? He's my grandfather.
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Rapport, are you there?
Yes. Apparently, Anna wants to adopt me. We only know each other over the internet.
Oh, okay. So Anna doesn't want to talk?
I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, so
Let's
I got you
listen to
both on the broadcast. What do you have to say, Anna?
Well, let's.
Huh? Huh? Check 1, 2.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna mute myself.
Oh, okay. No, just get me on here for you. Let's see here. Rapport. Back on the broadcast.
Yes, sir.
Did you want to chime in with something Go-Kart Bob said?
Well, we all have, like I was saying in the text chat, some people consider religion a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an argument, and it only goes so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have our crutches, and I think there's something in the Bible about giving up the things of childhood and moving on, and certainly that is good advice. If the prosthesis that you lose doesn't make you continuously fall on your face, in which case you should certainly pick it back up and keep using it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'll indulge another memory from my childhood, I was thinking about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
One of my earliest memories is getting a beautiful red tricycle. And man, I mean to tell you, I got the old man's money's worth out of that tricycle. I rode it and rode it and rode it and rode it. And one day he came home with a bicycle. And I recall looking at this bicycle. He had it in the back of his truck, and he was real proud of it. He pulled it out and kind of ceremoniously, and he put it on the ground and he showed it to me, and I was in awe of this thing. But big kids rode bicycles. I rode my tricycle. And he said, well, you're getting too big for your tricycle. And he had already equipped it with a set of training wheels. And he says, here, just climb up here. I'll, the standard scenario where he ran alongside me a little bit. And then once I got the pedals working and realized what a joy it was and what a greater freedom it offered, I was off on my way. And he told me, when you're ready to take those training wheels off, let me know, and we'll take them off. But there was no way I wanted to lose those training wheels. I mean, they were great. It was it just made my tricycle bigger and faster. But I started hitting depressions in the ground and other obstacles that made my bicycle experience less satisfactory. So I practiced and practiced and practiced, and then one day I told the old man, Pop, let's try this without the training wheels. He says, okay, and he took the training wheels off, and once again he ran next to me, while I did a wibble wobble. We all do that wibble wobble with the bicycle, but I had gained just enough personal confidence to push on through to the other side and get that bicycle going. And that was the sort of thing that ran through my mind, when we're talking about God and the God experience and thesis and antithesis and those people who most readily want to look down their noses on religion, in my mind's eye, they are assuming something about themselves that really needs to be questioned, needs to be looked at and questioned, and something that I typed into the text chat even earlier is that to be a good hunter, to hunt well so that you can feed your family and fulfill your role, you know, as a father and a husband, that sort of thing. The biggest challenge is to know the prey better than it knows itself.
Right.
And this is my definition of love. Once you know the prey better than you know than it knows itself, then you have overcome that particular challenge in life, and extending that to our fellow man. The greatest love we can have for our fellow man is to know its motivations, to know, to be able to accurately predict its behaviors, and then react accordingly. So this is, I think, my you know, professor's rapport. You know, my quintessential definition of love, you know, is to, if you want something in life, then you have to love it. You have to study it and know the means of acquisition, and constantly and always question your personal motivations. Yeah. Because once we start thinking that, you know, we have developed that divine state of enlightenment, and then we start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We start interpreting God. We start to and in that case, I have never considered imitation to be any kind of form of flattery in a positive light. God channelers, I think, have tasked this wonderment of computational ability between our ears a bit too much, and it is a fact that getting back to the Mandela effect, that when we perceive something that our mind cannot process, and we demand, you know, that our mind process that information, it's a very I mean, if we came with you know, an instruction manual for operating a brain, I think there would be one of those boxes in there with the big black letters that say "warning, warning." You know, do not do this to your mind. You know, be content with your particularly, you know, your particular evolved state, and learn to be happy with that. But don't quit working the equation. You know, just like when we were in school and we were again. I remember going through that hell of learning the times tables, and you know, it was just, I would sit for hours and hours and hours, and it just seemed like I was never going to get it. Yeah. And I would get frustrated and angry and that sort of thing, you know, and then that was my dad's cue to say, look, go ride your bicycle for a while, come back. He said, it'll get easier, you know. So, you know, that in other words, you know, clear out the mind. You know, go back to the very best evolved state that you have, and be content with that. And once the mind is clear, then the equation can be worked more effectively.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing the things we can learn growing up like that.
Yeah, look,
how they tie into so many different things.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to shut up now. Looks like Anna wants to have a word, or somebody other than me.
No problem. I appreciate you calling back, Rapport. Have a good one. All right, Anna, you are live.
Hey, Rapport. Hold on. I'm going to say something, Rapport. Hello, Rapport.
Is he back? He's back. You're here, Rapport.
Well, Anna, this is not my show.
I know, but the thing is, like, I just found this guy's live stream on, it's like, his name is like Unbiased from On the Fence.
Yeah, that's
and like
me.
there's like 47 people watching. Like it's on like it's on a YouTube broadcast.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you wouldn't mind about that, Rapport. what you just said, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, Anna, it's pretty rude to come into somebody's program and start advertising somebody else's program. I know you don't mean that. Didn't know that wasn't your intention.
No, she's talking about I'm broadcasting on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
It's a simulcast. It's fine. That's where the people chat from. Do you join just from the TalkShoe website? Rapport?
I'm actually, I'm on my PC. I'm on the internet here.
Yeah, you can actually go to
internet.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm multicasting to several different platforms, and anybody who's listening in on this and you're not on YouTube, if you'd like to join the chat, you can come over to Unbiased and On the Fence on YouTube and join in with the live chat and listen from there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, Anna, I apologize. I misunderstood what you were saying. I hope you forgive me.
I actually saw this guy's stream before, yeah. Live stream.
Yeah. Did you have any comments
what in
tonight,
particular?
Anna?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a nice guy. Yeah, he's really nice.
Can you hear me, Anna?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Did you have any comments for the broadcast tonight?
Did you say Love Fest?
No, I said, did you have any comments tonight?
I would just like to say that I like your show. It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I do have one more caller. It looks like 503. I don't know if you know your hand went down.
All right, well, bye, Shane. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Anna. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, and let's see. 503, if you wanted to talk, I saw your hand was up earlier. I don't know if you accidentally put it down, but hit star 2 to raise your hand again. And listen on the phone, because it will be delayed a little bit. Okay, let me see here. Okay, back to the phone lines. 503 area code. You're live. Who am I talking to?
Okay, are you talking to me now?
Yeah.
Okay, my name's Patty.
Hi, Patty. Sorry I missed you earlier. I waited for a little
That's
bit.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah, there's a big delay, so anybody who calls in, there's like, I don't know, 20 seconds or something of a delay, so you want to listen on the phone rather than on YouTube.
Yeah, I was trying to talk on the phone, but then I don't know, I could hear the Anna and the other guy in the background. I couldn't tell if you were talking to me or if you could hear me.
Yeah, I think it actually says unmuted or something when I unmute somebody.
Okay.
You might have missed that part.
Yeah, I think I did. So you couldn't hear me.
Nope, I couldn't hear you.
Anyway.
Ever. Yeah.
I tried to call in, I don't know, a couple months ago. I'd sent you some pictures and stuff. And then all of a sudden you had that guy on just the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he sees the same stuff I do.
Oh, with the orbs? Go for it, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had him on the Monday show with Sherry. Yeah, that was, man, I can't believe how many incredible pictures he's captured. So you've sent me some pictures before?
Yeah, and I did, and I don't even know what you get, because I've sent other people pictures, and then they show me and I'll look at the picture before I send it to them, and it looks fine. And then I go, oh, did you get that picture I sent you? And they go, yeah, they pull it up on their phone. It's all blurry.
Oh,
so
really?
It's annoying, but anyway.
I get a lot of stuff, so I can't really remember.
I think it's AI.
Yeah?
I really do. It's crazy. Yeah, but anyway.
Well, I do know with some phones it will compress the image before it uploads it to make it smaller, so that could totally be what's going on. You have to, especially if you upload it from your phone, but if you can somehow put the pictures onto a computer and then email it or upload it, that usually stops it from doing the compression thing.
Which makes it blurry?
Yeah, the compression's what makes it blurry, because it kind of combines everything so that it's not such a big file size. But unfortunately, that makes it blurry.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense. But I don't know what that...
But it is AI, technically. It's on purpose AI, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
yeah,
artificial
yeah.
intelligence doing it. That's for sure.
Well, what is it? What does AF stand for?
AF?
Yeah.
Oh.
So when I was filming, you know, I'd be out on my patio. I swear there's a portal right in front of my house, and I'd be filming it, right? And they stopped my phone, and there's a little big mark that says AF.
Well, I know what it means in text, but on the phone it's autofocus, or on the camera anyway.
They stopped your phone completely?
No, autofocus, AF.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about they stop my phone from recording. They block it, and there's a big AF.
Rude AF, maybe. I'm just playing. But yeah, that's pretty weird. But yeah, that could totally be AI, but not sentient AI, like it's, you know, but AI driven by a man. You know, a human.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I have lots of pictures like that. Totally.
Now, what kind of pictures do you capture? The orbs, or?
Lots. Well, I see ships all the time. Like,
oh, wow.
I don't know how people can't see them.
I'm always looking. I never get to see them. I do see satellites, though, but I don't know if there's an app you can get that'll show you the satellites, because there's been a few times I thought, man, that's got to be a UFO or whatever, but then once I downloaded that app, I saw it was satellites flying by or whatever. So. Right.
Do you ever get binoculars and look at it?
No, I can't ever track those things. Man, they go by so fast. It's hard to, you know, I don't have, I actually do have a monocular, but I don't think it would help because it looks like a moving star, you know, when you're looking at it.
Okay. Well, there's definitely things that are out there, and if they're stars, okay, so they definitely go in a pattern, but they are not just one light. They're like, you know, multiple, like shining, flashing bright, and then when stuff comes at them, they'll shoot at it. It'll overtake them. I mean, it's a whole war going on up there on a regular.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen some stuff like that where they'll have like a missile launch, and you'll see this craft like come by it and like zap it a few times with the laser and then fly off and then like disable the missile. I saw that clip a while back. So I've seen stuff like that. Just not with my own eyes, you know.
Yeah. And the other thing is there's, I don't know what's going on. I call them scouts. So I don't live anywhere near an airport, and they come up at the same time. And it depends on how busy when I see a bunch of scouts, I go, oh, it's going to be a busy one tonight, right? But they look like planes, but they're super. They come up from where an airport isn't. I'm all the way on the other side of town, like 25 miles. And all of a sudden they'll come up from this one area, but they have they fly super, super low, and they kind of go on the same route, and they have red and white things on things, but they have a green, like a little spaceship on top of them. And sometimes they're towing other ships, and sometimes they're pulling parts with them, and they have a flash, like a spotlight. Like a headlight.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have you ever gotten that on tape at all?
Those are really hard to get because I don't have the best camera. I did get a new phone, but and then so I do have some of it. I have some really wild video of the moon and them jerking the moon around the sky. And the other thing is that the sun and the moon are definitely portals. Like, I have some pictures. I take it, and there's actually, like, it looks like there's beings looking into the moon, and it looks like there's, like, on both sides. Like mice, or some of them look like mice, some of them look like people, some of them look like bugs.
Well, how big are they in relationship with the moon?
Sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes they're big. Sometimes it looks like they're like attacking it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's really strange.
Do you have this on film or anything?
I have them on my card. Every time I try to put them on my computer and send them somewhere, they say, you know, the computer couldn't be sent for, or the file couldn't be sent for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I have thousands of them.
I'm trying to think.
So what I really want to do is just go through them.
Yeah.
And send them. I don't even know how to do it, but
do you have Gmail, a Gmail account, or is it a different email?
Yeah, I have an email account that I've been trying to send some of them. And actually, when they first started blocking me, when I first saw it, it was when the moon. Okay, so I'm looking up at the moon, and it was probably a year ago at least, and there's all of a sudden this red. It almost looks like somebody took a piece of, you know, like a big thing of paint. This big red thing over the moon, and a big blue thing underneath it. And I'm like, and it was like a super moon that night, and it was super bright. And I go, what is going on with the moon?
Mm-hmm.
Then the moon starts spinning and shooting off light all over the place. I'm like, I literally the next day was like, this is going to be like on the news.
Nothing.
And then I'm like, am I insane? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But then I go back and, well, you know, you always think that when you're doing the awakening, right?
Yeah.
But no, there's been several other people that have seen it now. But the cool thing is that I wanted to tell you about that. So I see energy too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing. So orbs in the sky. Started seeing those coming in, and I'm like, oh, and they're kind of translucent. They're just like a color, like a little bit of a color, and then you say, oh, okay, that's an orb. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, there's one. So I'm watching it, right? It goes over to the tree and it stops. Like, does it see me? Because it can hear what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it stops over by the tree, and I'm like thinking to myself, or to it, yeah, I can still see you. Because the closer they get, the harder they are to see.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because they're translucent, they're energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it sits over there, and then so finally, after, you know, a couple times of this happening, I say, well, come down here, come closer, in my mind. And finally one does.
How close did
and
it get?
And then they come and roll on me.
Really? I mean, can you film them or anything?
So like I said, the closer you get, the closer they get to you, the harder they are to see. I do have some pictures that you can, like, if you zoom in, you can see very faintly in the energy that they look like little beings. They're all different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone's asking where do you live, Patty? Like what area do you live in?
I live in Portland.
Portland, Oregon. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, so that's Pacific Northwest, I guess. So yeah, you're not far from like Washington State and all that then. That's
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
A lot of activity up there.
But it's really, the veil is really getting thin.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they were coming in, and I would go out on the deck, and then it started getting to be like, I guess they all knew that I could see them then, so they would start in the sky, and I could see them, and then they would all, like, literally start zooming down to, like, I have a patio, to the point where they're, like, rolling over each other on my patio. So they start big, and they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and they end up to be about the size, some of them are the size of, like, a golf ball, some of them are the size of, like, a softball.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll roll all over me, and some of them I can really feel. Some of them, like, especially it's like they roll on the bottom of my feet. And some of them look like, I don't know, they're all different, like I said. Some of them look like crazy inside, like little particles, like they almost like bugs sometimes. Like if I see them, some of them will be dark on the inside, some will be light on the inside, some will be like sparkly on the inside.
Well, what do they feel like? Is it like fuzzy or electrical feeling?
Yeah, it's like fuzzy energy.
Like static electricity or something?
Yeah, like
when you got a balloon.
Vapor coming off of like a gas stove or something, but round and different in the inside. Like I said, each one's kind of different.
Yeah.
Like their own anyway, there's that. But the new thing is, so as these times have gone on by, and it's crazy because, you know, you can feel the ascension energy and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the orbs are coming in more. So when the energy's up, the orbs are coming in more. The energy orbs for sure. Lately, oh my God, they've been insane. Insane.
We got to figure out how you can get these pictures to me, because I'd love to see. Well, even some video clips too. That would be really awesome.
Okay,
You have
so
tried-
I'm going to
so
work
you-
on that, because I've been like, I'm like, okay, so I get frustrated, and I'm like, okay, obviously I'm not supposed to do this. And I mean, I've had several people here with me. You know, I take the video, I show it to them, and then something happens to it. Or I do have several, because I have a night vision app too.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I do have some of that. So you can see, I'm telling you, there's some weird stuff going on in the skies. But I also get, and I'm sorry, but the aliens are already here.
Yeah.
There's like little ships. They're sitting around all over the place watching us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes I'll look over in the tree and I'll go, boy, there's a lot of them over there today. You get your binoculars out, you start looking over there, and you start seeing stuff. I'm not the
Yeah.
only one that can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
sure.
the camera picks it up too, right?
So, I mean, the further away, the harder it is to see. But yeah, I have lots of pictures.
Mm. That'd be really cool.
I just
In
took
fact,
one the other day. That's pretty cool. It's actually on my Instagram, which
Mhm.
it's just the perfect, like picture. Like there's a tree in front of my house, and the sun was there, and I got it with 2 full rainbows coming out of it.
Wow.
If you zoom in on the rainbows literally coming out of the picture,
Mhm.
you can see what I'm talking about. So they'll be like little beings,
Mm-hmm.
like little light beings. These are these energy orbs, and they're coming out of the light. That's why I'm telling you, they're portals.
That's really cool.
So I can give you my Instagram, and you can look at those. And
Yeah,
then
what
you
is
can
your
get an idea
Instagram?
of what I'm talking about. It's Patty, Patty, Cakes, Cakes, Obi, which is my main name, Obye, at Instagram. I think the last 2 or 3 will give you some sort of idea with at least the clouds. A lot of, like, if I take a picture of the cloud and the sun, and then you'll see stuff up in those clouds, I guarantee it.
Yeah. I know the Fifth World gets stuff all the time on her channel. She always
Yeah.
does it. That's cool.
So
Yeah,
I
I'll
don't know. I
definitely
think
check that out.
I can just see it.
Mhm. Let me make
But there's
sure
a
I
lot
got your
more.
Instagram.
There's a lot more orbs coming in right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes when I look at the sky, I can just see the energy. It's just like crazy energy everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole sky is filled with it. And then other times it's like waves of orbs. So here comes the purple ones. Here
Mhm.
comes, the green ones. Here comes the blue, staticky looking ones. But the cool thing is these last ones that have been coming in, they'll hit, so they come from the sky and they hit the tree, and then they go all throughout the tree. They're like, I believe they're raising the consciousness of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they roll down the branches, they're like shooting like little webs out, but they're like light webs.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I mean, I've seen some of the most beautiful skies I've ever seen.
That
this
sounds
last
really
year.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out your Instagram on that one.
Yeah, and then I can, like you said, my my plan is I need to get like a photo editor, and because I have so many pictures, and I'm like, okay, what was in this one?
Yeah,
I
another
have
thing
also,
is you can get a hold of me through either the website uotf.net and contact me through there, or through my Gmail account, which is shanecrob@gmail.com. And if you get a hold of me either one of those ways, we might be able to do like a Hangouts where you can share your screen and show me the files just on your desktop or something like that. So that would kind of take out the having to try to figure out how to get it from you to me. And then I can just screen record what you're showing me. And then maybe we can present it Monday on paranormal frequencies or something. That'd be really cool.
Okay. So contact you on your email. I mean, there's so many pictures, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
now,
if you
like
have
I
it
said,
all ready, you could just, share your screen, and then I can record it while you go flip through the pictures you want to share. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or even
so I'm
video
gonna have
footage.
To flip through. I'm gonna have to flip through a lot of them because,
You
like I
could
said,
copy-
I'll start taking pictures because I'll see like, okay, I think I see something over there, so I'll take a picture. And sure enough, when I go back through, one
Yeah.
out of the three, there's a little ship or something,
Right. Yeah, I do the same thing. In fact, I've lost some really cool footage because it just got lost in the massive pictures I took. I'm like, oh my gosh. There was one where I saw all these, I thought there were white birds at the time, and I was going to like investigate it on my computer later and like zoom in on it and really check it out. And I couldn't find it. I don't know. I just took too many, I shouldn't have waited so long in between emptying off my camera or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it's buried somewhere in there, but I've taken so many sky pictures and everything that, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So
Yeah. I mean, I know that when I start flipping through, there'll be, my memory comes back to me too, but I don't know. I can just sense when something weird's going on. Like, okay, something's going on, and it's not just in front of my house. It's all over Portland, and I mean, I have taken some, but I know some of it isn't just like you were saying that when I'm sending it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like, okay, when there's like a hazy sky, for sure I'm going like, what's going on in there? That's them trying to hide something.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. Totally.
But I took this picture one time, like, okay, I'm just taking pictures, and I was with my friend, and I'm always showing him my weird pictures. It's like, how do you get these pictures? I can't even believe anybody can get pictures like this. And so we're taking pictures of the same thing, right? And I'm going back through and looking at mine, and there's a massive, I mean, as big as almost as a helicopter, a dragonfly. And I'm like, oh my God, come here and look at this. So he did. He's, right there, showed him the picture, and he's like, "That's just nuts. How could that even be?" But then when I went back to look at it again, and now it's all blurred, and I haven't even sent it anywhere. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it like got manipulated on your computer, the same file.
It's on my phone.
On your
now,
phone, yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't think I've gone back to. So I have an SD card. So I don't know if they can get on and if they can't manipulate my SD card. I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it can.
But even the
especially
ones
if
like
it's
I'll
not
put it
the
on
internet.
like Instagram, and it looks different when I'm even uploading it, and how it looks, and I send it, and then when I go back and look at the picture on Instagram, it's blurred.
Well, I say if you can view them on your computer and they look fine, are you able to get them? Are they on your phone or your computer?
They're on. I have two different cameras with two different SD cards, and I've loaded some of them, but I'm scared to even have them on my computer because I'm like, they're gonna ruin them.
Right. Yeah, you
I
could
know
always
that
copy
sounds
them over
kinda like,
instead of deleting them off of the SD card. Just move a copy of them over.
Right, which I haven't done. I haven't done that, but actually, it was Thanksgiving was crazy. It was like a parade. But I also believe too that and I don't care if people think I'm crazy. The clouds of beams as well. Some of them for sure.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them where
Okay,
they
good.
definitely look like something. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then there's that, and then it was actually like a parade going from my thing, and then the darker clouds, they were like beams looking down at the parade that was going by. It was, and we had a whole bunch of pictures of that.
Well, I
So
would really
anyway,
love to see them. Yeah. Actually, I'm actually.
I need to do something with them because I keep catching them and I keep seeing the stuff, and I know that it's like, I don't know, and I love to do it. I love to take pictures of the sky, and I have a lot of really cool pictures in nature of some Like I have a couple fairies.
Yeah.
And stuff like that I catch in nature and stuff too. Like I think I can see into the fourth dimension a little bit more than other people, I guess.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But people are starting to see it more. Like I had a friend here this weekend. I'm like, okay, come here. There's orbs going down the trees. Come sit right here. Get the binoculars. Okay, I'm going to tell you where they are, and he could see them.
What was he thinking they were? Was he freaking?
Yeah, well, he was really freaking out when they were in the house. They were sick last weekend. I could not believe it. I was like, okay, because I am used to when they're super, super energy days, there'll definitely be some orbs. I'll catch a out of the corner, right? Oh, okay, there goes one, And they're kind of not necessarily always round little orbs. You know what I mean? They're just like little energy things floating by. But there was a ton this weekend. Tons.
Wow.
In fact, it was so bad. And I could feel them more, too. It seems like, I don't know if they're getting stronger or what. But I get out of the shower, and I put my hand back on my hair, and a huge green one fell off my head and landed on my leg. And I go, and I never had that happen before, like, where it had, like, mass almost.
Yeah.
But when they were doing that whole where they were rolling all over the place, whenever it gets too much, this is another reason that I know that they are telepathic. I'll say, okay, it's too much, and they'll back off. Either that or there won't be as much energy coming in, because, like, when that first happened, that was overwhelming.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah, because for me, I see things out of the corner of my eye, but never get to see them directly, so.
Yeah, well,
I guess
and I
our awareness is changing.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know the light, okay, any light. So at night, if you go out and you have a street light, I mean, you might want to wait until it's a little bit warmer out. But if you watch that light for a while, it will do like this, where it'll get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. If you keep watching that light, there will be stuff coming out of that light that's not just light.
Like smaller
Sometimes
orbs
it
coming
looks
off
like
of it?
full-on webs. Sometimes they look like little planes. Sometimes it just, almost blinding with the binoculars how bright the lights will get. And anybody should be able to see that if they just, who looks at a street light with binoculars but me.
Right.
Right.
I think you'll find
crazy.
some people
Once
here.
you start seeing it, you can't stop.
Yeah, you're in the right crowd here, for sure, Patty.
Yeah. No, I have to go to study with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's not far from you, so.
No, he's in Washington.
Yeah.
I'm in Oregon.
Yeah.
It's the next state up.
Yeah, you're like driving distance away. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine where I'm going to see it.
Yeah, and you have time to plan. It's in August, so I'm telling everybody.
Okay.
I'm trying to nail down the exact date, which is proven to be more difficult than I thought. But they closed down for the winter, and they're not even really opened yet, and they're working on, and everything's done with volunteers, so it's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to talk to him.
And I just love him. I've been wanting to go up there since I first started watching him.
Yeah. We're wanting Shinty there, too. I don't know if she's listening, but she would call in before, but we're hoping to get to see her. She lives not far from there, so I think a lot of people are going to make it up there. I know a few people are coming from Canada, so it's going to be a blast, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be heaven. I love nature and outside and mountains and all that. Anyway, that's my idea of,
Yeah. I'm not too much of a camper, but I'll deal with the bugs. Get some off spray or some citronella candles or something.
Yeah, you can actually just take citronella oil,
Mm-hmm.
like the essential oil.
Oh,
and
okay.
Just dab that on your neck. Yeah. There's lots of stuff you can do like that. I don't know what kind of like herbs and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
So,
definitely have to try that.
Yeah. So somebody else look at the lights, so you'll start seeing it too. So and then just the skies have been beautiful lately, though. I mean, they'll just 2:00 in the morning, all of a sudden the sky starts turning pink.
Mhm. Yeah, that is weird.
And then it'll get lighter or whatever. And then, but beautiful skies. Like this morning, I love the dawn, because you can hear the birds chirping and nobody's really out yet, and it's kind of calm. And that's really a good for me. Like dawn and dusk is when I see it's easier for me to see the orbs, especially at first.
Mhm.
But it's beautiful, but anyway, they'll just, and sometimes they'll just be like sparkles all over. It's like, oh, it's just like a, Oh, I have another really cool story. So the other day, there was a bunch of chemtrails in the sky, like just crisscrossing the entire sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I thought they were going to stop those guys from doing that. I'm thinking to myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I see, so they'll be like almost translucent, like light ships too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They'll like just okay. So it was one of those, and then they're bouncing through the chemtrails, but they're leaving these little faint, like rainbows behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, oh my gosh! And then I see another one, and I see another one, and they're just bouncing all along the chemtrails, with them leaving these little rainbow things. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool! And I look down and I look back up, and there's 4 lines. It says hi. I'm like, oh my God! I just start laughing. Of course, I didn't have my camera.
Right. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and that's probably why they did do it too. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. It seems
But
like you always miss the magic. You know what I mean? It's like you're not allowed.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, of course you did then. But I've seen those a couple times the last couple days, and then I heard somewhere that those are like Palladian ships or something. You know, they said, yeah, they're rainbow Palladian ships, and I had seen them like 3 days before that. I didn't even know anything about it. And I was like, oh, I saw those. I couldn't catch those on my camera either. They were too faint. But I was like, it was this weekend because it was Sunday, because it was after all those orbs were all over my house.
That's awesome.
and the other thing is so I think it's like sky, tree, ground, water, animals, us. They're definitely crawling on us. I've seen them crawling all over on people. But they're just like spreading, if that makes any sense. They're just like touching everything.
Mm-hmm. Branching out.
Yeah. And I mean, I can see this tree shake and stuff too. And like I said, if like on the top of my head, I can definitely feel them. And the bottom of my feet, sometimes on my arms and stuff, I'll look down and it'll just, like I said, like a little fuzzy, blurry energy, whatever. They love to roll up on my shoulder. And what was I saying? I forgot.
Fuzzy energy on you?
Yeah. I can't remember. Anyway, there's a lot of them coming in, and they're so birds flying by, and I can see an orb around the bird.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, the energy last weekend and today, I just think it's definitely getting more and more intense.
I do too, and you have to wonder though if your perception of it's getting better or the veil's thinning. Because some people don't notice.
It's both.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think that's what I'm saying too. If people actually, I'm not special. I'm just for some reason I think I heard him from one of those planets, Andromeda, which I didn't even know about Andromeda. I think I'd heard about it once, but that's where this am from in my QHHT. So I don't know. Do I have family up there?
I think a lot of us feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, am I just more open to be connected to it? I don't know. Does it have something to do with my mission? I have no idea.
Or are you just paying more attention? That's been something I've wondered, like with the sun. It's like, oh yeah, I guess it is kind of white. It used to be yellow. It's like, you haven't noticed it. Like, don't you ever look up?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially the people that are asleep, nobody looks up.
Yeah.
I mean, this sky could be on fire and nobody would notice.
Yeah. That's funny.
I don't know. I love birds too. Like, I just think they're hilarious.
Yeah.
They like make me laugh. I have a spirit animal that's bird too, but like whenever I'm having a bad day, all of a sudden they'll just start doing some, like they're flying around the sky and they are floating and they're just having fun,
Yeah.
So it makes me smile and I go, I wish I was a bird. So I go, yeah, they're laughing. They're going to poop on our heads when we're looking down at our phones. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let me write down that information, and I will work on filtering out the stuff, and then we can get together, and then you can tell me what you think.
All right, perfect, Patty. I appreciate it.
Okay. So you want me to just...
Yeah, you can just email me or contact me through the website. They both come to my Gmail account, so whatever's easier to remember.
And it was Shane...
Yeah, Shane, C as in Charles, Rob as for Robinson, R-O-B, so C-R-O-B @gmail.com. ShaneCRob@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or in the
description. Might have to give me more. You might have to give me more than just this weekend, because actually my friend's coming up this weekend and we are making chocolate and soap.
Wait, chocolate and soap?
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
I know, kind of a weird combination. It's really, really good, though.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, it's it's like a chocolate with no sugar. So we do it with honey and monk fruit, and then dark chocolate, and we do almonds and sea salt or coconut and sea salt, and it's really good. Like, a lot of people don't like the dark chocolate because it's not sweet, or they put a bunch of sugar in it, or it's just whatever. Ours is really good. And then I'm trying to make soap so I can get a side hustle going, because I don't like my job, and all I want to do is walk around and take pictures and make soap, but it's not paying any bills.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's no rush. Just whenever you do it, we can just show it on whatever Monday you get it to us, and people will enjoy looking at it.
Okay, but this gives me a deadline to actually work on it.
Yeah.
Because some of it, like you'll see on my Instagram, to me it's kind of my art.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Beautiful.
Okay, well.
I appreciate the call, Patty. Lots of love to you.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, nice talking to you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty. That's going to round us out here. Thank you so much to Patty. Can't wait to see those images and present them to you guys and let you check it out. We'll figure out a way to get it posted, though. We have plenty of options, and I'm a troubleshooter, so I'll figure out a way to do it as soon as Patty gets a hold of me. So lots of love and light to everyone. Guess who is on? Let me see. I think it's tomorrow night. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's Cynthia Sue Larson this weekend. So Cynthia Sue Larson tomorrow night with Eileen and I on the Power of 8 at 8. I'm super, super excited about having her on to discuss, well, the Mandela effect, timeline jumping, quantum jumping, and all this stuff. This is, she was talking about this before the Mandela effect was even a thing. So really looking forward to that. Lots of love and light to all of you guys in the chat, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.